And we're live. We'll see if Moron, the Hebrew Ishmaelite, will come up. I won't call him Omar, I'll call him Moron. And it's funny, boy, how you get all these, because other people call me master teacher. They get upset because nobody will come to ask them anything. Nobody comes to their channel because you go to their channel, you see what? Nothing. I went to his channel. What do you see? Hey, Chicago writer, what's going on? Nah, just seeing if Moron's gonna come up. Hey, the Queen of Science went on a rant. The Queen of Science was on a rant yesterday. I said she's doing a BGS invitation. She is slapping the desk. I said, wow. I said, it must be rant week. Supreme, what's going on? All right, in St. Louis, man, I could not live in St. Louis, man. I don't know how you brothers do it. I don't know how y'all do it, man. Lindy, what's up? Oh, that's action potential? Okay. Oh, he's contrary to everything? Oh, okay. Why they need to change their names, man? Yeah, I think the brother's kind of off balance a little bit, man. I was listening to him. He doesn't seem like he's all there. Oh, you couldn't hold it? Couldn't hold it in. Ah. Last night's debate, the debate about what? I don't look at all the debates. I look at some of them. Oh, we talking about the about you know what? I listened to it. Uh, I didn't pay that much attention to it because what they're talking about to me is irrelevant. Because how a woman performs, how she acts, is actually how she's raised in her culture, and that's not up to men. I've heard her fired up, but normally she's drag hunting when she's fired up like that. Yeah, but I heard it last night. Basically, um, we've gone. It's like repeating stuff that we've gone over and over for like the past 5 or 6 years. Okay, black women are who they are. Black women are who they are in this culture. Okay, you have to accept them for what they are. If they're not trained, to do certain things, they're not trained to be wives, especially nowadays. When black women stop training other black women to be wives, it was pretty much over. Because black women are too fiery and aggressive. If you don't tamp it down, you don't give them training. Black women, you just can't you can't send them off into the wild and expect them not to be who they are, right? Okay, you can't do that. In Africa, you have the same spirit in Africa, but see, the African society actually trains them, so they will be more docile, kind of, but they will be more agreeable because they have to be trained to be agreeable. The Latinas train their daughters to be agreeable. That's something that's trained. It's not something that's actually born, because you have all different kind of personalities. So you cannot, it should be obvious. Our women, this has never been a patriarchy from the beginning of this country. It's never been a patriarchy. The women they brought over were not brought over for you. Okay. And because of certain laws, by law, the black community is a matriarchy by law. Thomas Jefferson in Virginia, they did that back in I think it was the 1760s or 1750s, something like that. Well, before this was a country, you black people have never had a patriarchy, even by law. The children have never belonged to the man in the black community. Whereas the white people is always assumed that the father had Father had control of the children. Father had control of the children up until the early 20th century, when the tender years doctrine actually came over in the 1900s. Before that, under a patriarchy, the children belonged to the father. In fact, in common law, in common law, they still do. Okay, they just put policy in place to actually um, um, abrogate the patriarchy. There is no patriarchy in the United States anymore, and the black community has never had a patriarchy. So to get a submissive black, you never had submissive black women ever. You never had submissive black women. Uh, Nicole can tell you, her mother does her duties. Her mother does her duties as a wife because she's trained. Even Nicole is a very good, very good wife. She's a very good homemaker, but she was trained to do it. Nicole is not a docile person. Okay, she is not a docile person. Okay, she's submissive because she's trained to be that way, but she's not docile. We don't have docile women. You don't have them. I don't know. I don't know. My grandmother, she would have been, my grandmother would have been 110 had she lived. My grandmother was not a docile woman. She had duties. She was trained to have duties, and she performed her function as a wife. That's how the black family worked. But when they separated that, the women training black girls to be wives, it was all over them, because you can't control them. You can't control black women. Yeah, the training starts when you're young. So I don't care how alpha you are, you can't get that out of black women. In Africa, man, they throw hot water on dudes in Africa, man. There was a story in Kenya where it had like 400 men had scars from the hot water that their wives threw on them. Black women are not docile people. They're not Asians. Okay. They're not even bitter, and they're aggressive, but they're not even bitter. They just this they use being bitter as an excuse. Okay. That's just who they are. My mother's not a docile person. She performs her duties. She's submissive because she's trained to, but my mother is not a docile person. She's not submissive by nature. So that stuff about being submissive by nature, or a man making a woman submissive, that's bullshit. The only person can make a woman submissive or have to perform that kind of docile function is her mother. If she don't get it from her mother, she ain't gonna have it. I don't care how much unless you're gonna try to beat her into submission, which you can't do that anymore. Oh yeah, yeah, they're acting out in Africa because they're not training them anymore. Oh yeah, yeah, that's yeah. If I can find it, I should dig up the story. It's maybe about 4 or 5 years old. Yeah, well, yeah, cooperation is not submission. But the thing is, way black men define submissive is not submissive. Way black men define submissiveness as cooperation, because you know black women can be highly incooperative. Oh, I don't think he's gonna pull up. I'm gonna block him. I'm gonna block him eventually, but I don't even know who he is, man. Dudes be coming out of nowhere with off the wall stuff. But I think, yeah, you kind of sometimes you get mentally unbalanced people. Yeah, hot grits too. Well, hot grits if she's trying to really hurt you. Yeah, yeah. Somebody knew my mother. So, yeah, my grandmother used to carry a razor in her bosom. Yeah, yeah. But that's all I can say about. I don't even know why it's a debate. I guess it's fun for you guys to hear it, but it's really not a debate. And and basically, and the two women that were actually on the panel, on in the debate, which is Concrete Rose and Sister George, they are definitely not submissive, and they didn't come, and neither were their mothers. Okay, neither were their mothers or nor their grandmothers. They are not submissive people. They're not submissive people at all. They can learn to cooperate, but that's about it. It's worldwide. The thing is, it has nothing to do with that. Um, what you have is the environment actually affecting, actually putting on its fact. In fact, I was listening. I'll actually put the clip in my community page. It was two MGTOWs. It was I Am Serious and Sandman talking to an incel, a incel advocate, I forget what he called his now self name, but he called him an incel black pill advocate. And they were having like a 2 hour discussion, man. And as I was listening to it, I was realizing, and Nicole will know what I'm talking about. We may have hit a behavioral sink and not know it. In other words, um, this worldwide population is probably on a decline, and we've already peaked out, stabilized, and we're on our way down. We just haven't seen it yet. Yeah, she should already be submissive before she even meets him. That's like a man knows a wife when he first sees her. He knows he might not be ready for a wife, but the thing is, he knows a wife when he sees him. Every man knows a wife when he sees her, when he meets her. And after 3 months being with her, he knows the difference between a wife someone that he would marry and someone he would not. After about 3 months, and sometimes if you love her enough, you try to finesse her to see if she can actually turn their corner and turn into a wife. And sometimes they do, but most guys know a wifely woman when he meets her, like the first 3 months. And some guys don't want a wife. You want a partner, or you want a hoe. So you marry what you can. Guys marry hoes. Okay, it doesn't always go well, but they do. Okay, if you let your penis get away with you, you'll marry a hoe. First time catching a lash? Yeah, I don't do them very often, Gnostic. There is no solution. There is no solution. This is uncharted territory, and we've already hit the behavioral sink. And I was listening. In fact, I'll when I put the clip, I might play portions of it. But the thing is, I was listening to them last night and listening to how technology has affected, especially white men, because these are three white men, and how it's affected their thinking. And you can hear the hopelessness in their voice. And then they were actually telling stories about the white women on the other side who were doing exactly the same thing. So if you looked at Mouse Utopia, it has nothing to do with the ability to get together. It has nothing to do with anything else, or with looks or anything else. It's just behavior. That's all this is. It's just behavior. Because what the men were saying on one side, the women were saying on the other. It's just behavior. So if this is a behavioral sink, that means how can you correct it? There's nothing you can do about it until it declines low enough to where it actually restabilize and you start basically a new civilization. Well, oh, you see okay. Now you have a channel and you're a content creator, and you come in my channel, ask me what you're supposed to do. And then you could then you come over here like you know something. But there's the link, boss. Hit the link. If you are Omar the Ishmaelite. No, it can't until the environment shifts. You can't. That's what I was trying to prove. That's what I was trying to prove, because it's obvious. And And Nicole, a lot of what Nicole was studies helped me kind of realize that because she's better with mice. So I was trying to, correlate it. Is did they do something to kind of to kind of shortstop this kind of behavior? And you got to remember, the Mouse Utopia was his, was his final experiment. That was his grand experiment. He had been doing it since the 1940s. He had done it for like over 20 years with the same experiment, trying to repeat it, trying to find an answer, and finally he couldn't because there is none. That's no showdown. Just feel like picking on somebody. If you're Omar the Ishmaelite, I don't think you are, then come on up. What you do, you talking shit, man. You've been talking shit to me for like the past month. I mean, it has really nothing to do with black. It has nothing to do with black women. Black women, because of the way we were socialized, um, or what they call the canaries in the coal mine. But the thing is, if you look at the rest of the world, it's basically the same thing. Has nothing to do with culture. Has nothing to do with with biology, with genes. It has everything to do with everything. Evidently, there's a switch inside of every organism's head that at a certain point it's going to switch off mating. In other words, we have enough people. I think he did it with Norwegian rats. I think he had a colony that could hold up to 5,000, but they never got over 400. They just something inside their brains just switched off, where they stopped reproducing, and the mother stopped taking care of their kids or their pups. Something just switched. There's a switch inside our biology to switch off. I'm a subscriber, dude. Don't give me that, man. Don't give me that. I was just joking. If you are that person, I don't think you're that person. Because evidently you've never had trolls, man. It could be a kill switch, but the thing is, we don't know. But the thing is, we got to remember, they keep saying, which we got into a shouting match with Mr. Research about this. He kept trying to say, "Could you breed it out? Can you breed it out? Can you breed it out?" And he was trying to say that it has to be with white people. Mice do not have white human genes, so it can't be genetic. At least genetic the way we understand it. Hey, Dusty, what's going on? It has nothing to do with them being reproduced by themselves. Have you ever looked at the Mouse Utopia Vertical Life? Dude, I don't even know if you're the same person because you don't have the same call name. So I don't even know if you're the same person. I don't think you are. Vertical Life. Did you ever read the study, the Mouse Utopia? No, it's not. It's not a microcosmic social. It had nothing to do with social dominance because these are the in-group males that are not reproducing. Yeah, I notified him, but it's all right. He's not showing up. It has nothing to do with social dominance because if it had something to do with social dominance, you wouldn't see it in mice, would you? There's other animals that do the same thing, but the mice are close enough to us. Yeah, I guess, man. I don't know, man. You know how people give themselves names. Yeah, basically, he didn't have it. He didn't have an answer. That was the thing. That's when we had to repeat the. He had to repeat the experiment for 20 years to see if there was an answer. He didn't find one. Pack women get played by pedo black men. Okay, Adam, that's not what we're talking about today, man. So chill out. No, yeah, well, yeah, well, he's been asking for it, man. For a month, and he's been asking for it on other people's panels, other people's chats. Now, basically, there is the how do you find a solution for the when for something there's no solution. If it's a if there's a kill switch or an off switch, there's no solution unless you unless Nicole can actually find out actually edit the gene. No, no, oh, they've cut money. We just haven't heard about the experience. They've been cutting money. What do you think welfare is for? What do you think all the independence and all the welfare for all the female independence so they will keep producing children? They change the dynamic. Oh, they cut trillions of dollars trying to figure out this problem. Well, since we're here, you can talk about anything you want. Since we're here. No, it's not. Basically, they call it a behavioral sync. In other words, um, in other words, as far as normally for organisms behaviors, uh, your go-to behavior is actually to reproduce, to actually survive and reproduce. Okay, and if, for whatever reason in the behavioral sync, you stop reproducing. In other words, reproducing doesn't matter anymore. So for whatever reason, that switches off. I mean, there's other things that come along with it, like despair and narcissism, that kind of stuff. No, we're not peaking. We've peaked as a civilization. We've already peaked. Yeah, yeah. He well, he worked on his hunches, but the thing is that he did what 20 years. He tried to experiment, the grand experiment, which is human beings. Yeah, you can teach yourself math. It takes a little bit more effort, but you can. Well, now you can actually do it because you have YouTube. You got YouTube and all kinds of academies. You can teach yourself math. Yeah, you can teach yourself math. Basically, pretty much you get a lot of index cards, write down all your memorize all your formulas and definitions. You can teach yourself math. If you're a person that can be self-taught, everybody can't be self-taught. Well, you guys are already doing it, man. If you look at the decline in marriage, look at the decline in mating, look at the decline in children from boomers on down. Boomers are actually interrupted the process because the boomers were already they had already declined, and the boomers, because of World War II, actually interrupted that process. But right after the boomers, you went right back to the same pattern that you had been for the last 200 years. So we have peaked. And we don't know. The thing is, that's their guess. Now, like, because you have a stabilization point. I think, like Calhoun was saying, um, that even before he had realized the death cycle had already started to happen. If you look at the behavioral sink, or the behaviors in the human beings, it's already happening. Okay, look at your marriage rates, look at your out of wedlock birth rates, look at the fertility rates around the world. You're below replacement in every place except the continent of Africa. Legal prostitution is not going to fix anything. Okay, but it has nothing to do with anything cultural, because you still have to have babies. Only prostitutes gonna have a bunch of babies. Uh, you can do square roots by hand. I wouldn't suggest it. I didn't have fun with doing square roots by hand. You can do it, but you're gonna get a lot of radicals. Marriage is not stable, and they're below, and Germany's fertility rate is below, is like 1.5. So it doesn't matter. Germany's always had legal prostitution. That didn't change. Law 10. Okay. I don't remember what Law 10 is. Yeah, you anything I have, man, you can build upon it. Hey, you know what? Half the stuff that I was listening to, that they were saying, half the stuff they were saying came from my channel, came from my work. Half that stuff came from my work. I remember the one time the black pill dude was talking about atomized individuals. Now, the only two people that ever talk about atomized individuals was me and Carol Quigley. Nobody else will use that term, atomized individual. So I know he's been listening to me. So, if you, I put this stuff up for you guys to use. I don't put this stuff up for so I can just beat my chest. I put all this stuff up so that you guys use. Kevin uses a whole bunch of my work, man. You see me beating my chest and bringing down Kevin? No, it's out there to be used. You're gonna have they're gonna treat prostitution in about 6 months just like they treat weed. Decriminalize it. They don't want to make it legal, but they will decriminalize it. Um, I don't think they destroyed it, but the thing is, they didn't help it. I think for its whole existence, the black community, basically, the black family is an artificial construct in the first place. So as soon as it had to stand on its own, it was going to start to fall apart anyway. Oh, damaged women. Okay. Oh, Law 10. Okay. Yeah. Broken women, I call them. Yeah. And I say, yeah, this actually has been championing for a while, especially they can commoditize it. Yeah. Yeah, well, they're gonna get it on steroids. With the old thing, be careful what you wish for. Okay, they want it as an option, but as a controlled option. What happens when it's not controlled anymore? I was reading articles about OnlyFans being taken over first by the diesels, which is the hookers, strippers, and sex workers, and now it's been taken over by celebrities. that are running them out. So the prices are going to drop to nothing. Look what happened to porn, man. Porn dropped to virtually nothing, man, when it became commoditized. Nuggets in 7. Right. If you believe that, I got a bridge to sell you. No, she actually changed her mind. She didn't want. They're not. Her lawyer told you she's not gonna get child support. You're not gonna get child support making $26 million. Oh yeah. Well, actually, it's more like more. It might be nihilism. But I think I think it's despair more than nihilism because they do care. That's why they're whining. It's not, they're saying it doesn't matter. They say they're facing reality. No, that's despair. Because if you're truly nihilist, you go out and have a good time or the best way you could. That's why they're not nihilist. Oh, I don't know, man. I was just seeing, I just felt like picking on somebody. He had been bothering me for like the last uh, beachfront. Now, beachfront property in Nevada. Can black men be happy in this current environment while also being black pilled at the same time? Depends on how you define black pill, because they are not black pill. Yeah, young fan. Yeah, the OnlyFans is already oversaturated. So it depends on how you define black pill. Oh, black folks. Okay. We're all in the same boat together, so I don't see how that's gonna change anything. Everybody thinks that they can jump on another boat. We're all in the same boat. This is all one civilization now. There is no place to go. So there you can't jump from one civilization to another because it's all the same. That's the problem. And when you see look at South Korea having the same problems, it's only worse than here in the United States. You have one civilization. Oh, your mom was 100 octane. Okay, I don't. I'm not even going to begin to ask you the story. Nah. What's my? I've actually said my definition many, many, many times, but I'll do it again. Uh, the blue pill is basically the artificial construct of culture. That's what you're taught. That's what you're taught to believe in. The red pill is actually the truth outside of the construct that you were taught to believe in, like uh, even like marriage, mating, dating, all that kind of stuff. You actually want to know the truth. Red pill is what the actual truth is, right? But you still have codes, you still have morals. The black pill, you don't have it without morals. Now, there's two sides of the black pill: nihilism, which it doesn't matter, eat, drink, and be merry, or more like Thanos, which is utilitarian. We're gonna use any kind of method. The end justifies means. We're gonna use any kind of method to reconstruct a blue pill narrative for people to actually function in. Most people cannot function outside of a blue pill world. They need a form, they need a narrative, they need something to believe in. Okay, black pill people do not need something to believe in. It is what it is. With utilitarians, it is what it is. This is what you have. And work with it. With nihilists, it's like it doesn't matter. Okay, everything's fucked. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna do what I want to do. If you're a nihilist, you disagree. All right. All right, you disagree. There's the link. You can disagree all you want. What's your basis of disagreement? Most people because this is philosophy. This is philosophy that's been around long. You just give it a name. But if you look up nihilism and utilitarian, they're two sides of the same coin. Machiavelli was not a nihilist. Machiavelli was a utilitarian. Most of your leaders at the top are utilitarian. Okay, and they're willing to do. They're willing to kill people, sacrifice people for ends for the betterment of the whole. In other words, what do they say that Spock, as it said, is the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. That would be utilitarian. It's better to sacrifice a few so that many will live. It's triage. Your doctors do it all the time. Cops do it. No, they don't understand reality, man. Because I was listening to them, man, and all the facts that they use, all the data that they use are from online apps. None of them actually went out in the field and experimented. It was always online. Okay, well, how do you know? Well, my app says, my online dating profile says, blah 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 blah. Says. In other words, a very very narrow environment. So, in other words, anything outside what they see on their screen doesn't exist. That's why I've talked to like 3 or 4 of them, and basically I always ask them, well, what proof do you have that of the what's so-called 90-10 or 80-20 rule? It's never them going out socializing. It's always who they can grab on an app like Tinder or whatever, right? But if you disagree, there's a link. Disagree, there's a link. Now you guys come in and say, "Well, I disagree." I'm not gonna debate you from a chat. And so if you disagree, come on up. And most people are afraid um, because they don't have an opinion. Basically, they have
I disagree.
they disagree with what?
I still think Russell Wilson is a simp.
Yeah,
Nah.
well, but he's still married, isn't he? You know,
Yeah.
the real simp is not Russell Wilson. The real simp is Future.
I'll make that. Well, I mean, there's an argument for that.
Future's a simp. Why would you fly a chick around, fuck her, and then make her a baby mama and start paying child support? That is simp behavior.
I'm not gonna argue with that one.
That's simp behavior.
I'm not
And
gonna argue with that one.
how many? What is he up to, 9 or 10?
I do count after 2 after Sierra. I said, "Fuck it." This you know who this
No,
nigga is.
but he had 4. He had 4 with Sierra. Now, dude, your name is Mick Clown. Oh, McLovin. Okay. No,
I give Lori Harvey credit for not charging that one, but I think she probably thought she could do better.
huh?
I give Lori Harvey credit for not getting a baby, but I think she thought
He's still simping, man. He's still simping. I mean, that is trick and simp behavior, if nothing else, man. At least guess what happened when Russell told her to take his ass off of child support. We don't need his fucking money. That's a goddamn man. I'm tired of this shit. We don't want your goddamn money. We don't even want you in our lives. Shut the fuck up and take your money, go someplace else. Okay? And he told her, he said, take that nigga off of child support. Guess what the fuck she did? Have you even heard anything between
we'll see.
Future and her? Well, have you even heard anything between since Russell did that? Have you even heard anything between Sierra and Future?
Yeah, but she's younger than he's younger than her too. So I mean,
Don't it don't matter. It don't matter.
well, I don't
Motherfuckers,
mean as far as the simp thing. I'm talking about just as far as the dynamic that like he's
it
got a
don't
lot more time in case you want to act up.
it don't matter. He's gonna if she if just like that white girl that cut up. Guess what he gonna do? He gonna drop her and go get him another one. He don't give a fuck. Russell Wilson is not who you think he is. Russell Wilson is not who you think he is. You look at that image just like you thought. What's
No,
his
Stephen
name?
Curry.
Stephen Curry was his goody two shoes. That motherfucker had three mistresses. That's like if she was cutting up. These people are not who you think they are. No, I don't
How
want.
many games you think the Nuggets gonna take to beat the Lakers, man?
They're not. They're not. They don't have the players to do it. They're not because you got two top five players on the Lakers team. They can turn it on. They can beat you by themselves if need be. You got two of them. I'm trying to figure who's hurt though.
Yeah.
Somebody was hurt. McLovin, you can jump in at any time, bro.
Hey, what's going on, BGS?
Hey,
I have just a quick question. So I've been in this
it's,
space for a minute. Understand the
mm-hmm.
whole pill
How long is a
ideology.
minute? How long is a minute?
I want to say since 2016.
Okay, that's enough.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. So I guess I get the whole black pill thing, but there's this one thing that's just troubling my mind. So what's up with the incel type dudes that label themselves as black pill? I don't understand that.
Okay. They adopted it and actually went back and actually looked at the original meaning of the black pill because it was actually in Del Rocks. Because they actually said where they got it from, right? I actually went back to the comment section where I can't remember his name was going back and forth with Dal Rock in his subs. Okay,
On Rolo's
in
blog?
2011, huh?
Was it on Rolo
No,
Tomasi's
no,
blog?
Dal Rock,
Oh, Dal Rock.
Dal
Yeah,
Rock
yeah,
has a blog. Yeah,
yeah.
Dal Rock has a blog. So I did what people should do is go ahead and research this stuff since Google is your friend. I found it within like an hour. I found the exact quote where it was first mentioned. And what he was talking about was exactly what I'm talking about. In other words, if you want women to go back the way they were, you got to change the environment. Okay. And he said that is the black pill truth. In other words, if you look at it because everybody's trying to put morals and all this kind of stuff on top of no. The black pill truth. If you want to reconstruct women back the way they were, you got to change the environment. You want to go back. That's what he meant. And that's what he said. And they adopted it and they took it off someplace else.
Okay.
You know, it's interesting because you did that archetype video, and that's one thing that I think needs to be talked about more is like the black male archetypes. Hell, the black female archetypes too. And obviously, you got the class ones with the 92s, the diesels and stuff. But you also got like when Glennon added the Southern Belle, the Savage. You know, added that, even though that's like a play on that, but it kind of does it in another angle. But yeah, with dudes, a lot of times to answer your question, McLovin, a lot of times dudes are trying to justify why they do what they do outside the logic of it. And so they'll sit there, and even Hugo Weaving just did an interview because he said the dude that played Agent Smith, he said he was open to coming back to the Matrix, but he mentioned, he said people will take like the red pill stuff and they'll take it on and apply things to it that it was never meant to apply. And I think he's talking about a lot of alt right stuff, like a lot of bigger white boy stuff, because that's going to be the stuff that's going to be in his visibility. But he was saying that was just very interesting how people will take the meaning and like make it mean what they want it to mean. Which is kind of like what BGS was talking about.
There's any philosophy. They do it with religion, they do it with philosophy, they do it with politics, they do it with everything.
He was talking about political movements. That's what he was
political movements, all that kind of stuff. You'll adopt a symbol. In fact, that's the reason that what's his name? Hitler put socialist in his name in as far as the Nazi party, right? Okay, even though they were authoritarian throwback to Prussia, Hitler was a Prussian, okay, and he wanted an authoritarian government, but socialism is not an authoritarian government. But to sell it, you got to put a name on it, even though it had nothing to do with socialism.
Yeah, and I don't mean to bring TV shows up into it, but like that
Pull,
I've been talking about that show,
Hey,
The Boys, and they
pull
talk
up,
about a lot of red pill.
pull up later. Pull up later for what, Ty City? I'm here, man. Okay. Pull up later for what?
They,
I mean, if you got a reason for me to pull up, I'll pull up. But thing is, other than that, if I have a if I have to be in your chat and hear something that I want to discuss on, I'll jump on. If we have an ongoing dispute where I figure it needs to be hashed out, I'll jump on. But if you say pull, I just don't pull up. Everyone can tell you, I just don't pull up just to pull up. He can tell you, I don't pull. I don't even do live streams that much anymore. So. If
no.
certain people I support like art new style, I support Nicole, I support a few people, so I will jump on their panels to support them, because they're my crew, so I'll jump on the panels to support them or defend them or whatever they need be, but I don't just pull up to pull up.
Already told Ty City what he needs to do. He need to go ahead and get on Coleon Noir's channel and go ahead and leech all the views he can from that motherfucker. Because
Why?
you can be a real, because Ty City's big on guns.
Okay.
And that's he's talking about the gun channel. He's done some good
Yeah.
work as far as the
Yeah.
cam up lens things he's doing.
Yeah,
So I was like, dude,
if you have a gun channel, you don't really need to be in the black. If you're gonna gun channel, you're gonna get mostly white boys. So you're gonna have to make it neutral like Colin. Yeah, you gotta be neutral.
yeah, well, yeah, but at the same time, if you say, okay, I want to make a black centered, when I say, but because I gotta remember this is Ty City, so Ty City ain't gonna be on the Hotep shit. But
No.
like a black centered gun thing, there's things for that. Like there's Instagram pages and there's a movement for that. But then you leave it open enough for the white boys to kind of add it to the queue.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. You don't got to be like Coleon, where it's like I got to be NRA approved necessarily.
If you really want if you really want to attract a lot of people, get yourself a female co-host.
That's what Coleon did too.
Yeah, if you get your kind of like a black radical female co-host that loves guns, you're gonna make some money.
Oh God!
If you really want to make some money, that's the way.
I mean, if you want to go for the women, if you're gonna go for the women,
you get a lot of radical women that are aggressive, right? And think that we should defend ourselves and men should go to war. They talk a lot of shit. They ain't gonna buy a gun, but they talk a lot of shit, right? They'll come.
You know, which is interesting.
Is there a gun
when
channel?
I see them,
is there a gun channel where they go out to the field, like you get like a black family or a couple black dudes.
Yeah.
And they go out there.
Oh yeah, Colin the War. They don't.
Yeah,
they don't
Coleon
do
does that.
Does he do that? Yeah.
Yeah, he does that. The difference with Coleon is funded by the NRA. He's like almost officially sponsored by the NRA. So I mean, he's getting a lot of money. That's why his stuff looks the way it does.
Yeah.
But it depends on what type of markets. Like I didn't even think about that because that's a growing market. Black women looking to get in the gun.
Yeah,
that's a growing market.
But especially now. Yeah. You could. Yeah. I said it. Get you a nice female co-host that's in the guns. You make a lot of money, man. You attract both sides of the aisle, the men and women.
No, because I mean, the thing
you said you got the Lakers winning.
Yeah.
Give me a prediction on the series.
Okay. If I'm gonna be conservative, I'll say 4-2.
4-2. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what y'all think. Look, I understand LeBron. Look, I'm not a LeBron gets on my nerves, but one thing about LeBron that you can count on when LeBron gets in a desperation mode, where he start thinking, ain't no way in hell he gonna lose to the Nuggets. I mean, I'm just gonna say that right now. I mean, like it's been parted for him to get another ring. God has provided, so ain't no way he gonna let the Nuggets get in the way of that. Like multiple people gonna have to get hurt, including Anthony Davis.
I mean, basically, if it wasn't for the Clipper collapse, the Clippers would have blew the Nuggets out. Really, they collapse. The Lakers ain't gonna. You can do that once. You doing that twice against the two superior teams is not gonna happen.
Especially with the coach they got too.
How they collapse?
Huh?
You get tired.
Mentally, that happens. You take your foot off the gas. You can't take your foot off the gas in the NBA.
You can't look at that game and tell me they didn't collapse that third game, that second half.
Yeah, they collapsed. I don't know what's going on.
They quit.
I don't know what happened to them mentally, but they quit. We down 3-1. You really basically, if you think about it, even in the last game, what's his name should have never scored 40 points. And when you have what's his name on the floor, because if he's going off First thing I'm gonna do is put Kawhi on him. Kawhi is one of the best defensive players in history of the game. So why you got one guy beating you? One guy shouldn't beat you when you have Kawhi Leonard. You just put Kawhi Leonard on to lock him down.
And that's what people forget. Like, you got Patrick Beverly. I mean, if you look at them from a defensive team, they should be able to just go. Because you gotta remember, one thing about defense is when you're, and I can tell you this from experience, obviously not NBA level, but when you're like, when that's what you know, you're more of a defender. Because that's a lot of it's knowledge, but it's effort too. You can just lean back into that. Like, scoring is more of an art. That's why it's more rare. But if Patrick Beverly and Paul George and fucking Kawhi, they should have been able to put a fucking wall.
Yeah,
fuck that all pick and roll running. Fuck that.
Houston was a better team than Denver, and basically, the Lakers just punked Houston them last 4 games, just shrugged them off. And there's no player better on the Nuggets than what's his name, than Harden.
And LeBron is gonna and LeBron is gonna close those games out. I mean, they may get him one game, the first game, and then you got to remember the Lakers have been resting, but LeBron ain't go. This is too easy for him to take a legacy hit, And then you got what's the coach with the coach that used to coach for Indiana that's coaching them. They lose, he fired.
Yeah.
What's your prediction, Ed? What do you got?
I mean, they gonna win. I mean, I'll go with BGS. I'll say 4-2.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's conservative. It may not be that close. That's conservative.
But you got to remember, if it's not 4-2, then if it's 4-3, that's a game 7.
Yeah.
You make it sound.
Even in the game 7, who you go to? You go to the guys with the rings, right? Who
I mean, LeBron rarely. When has LeBron lost a game 7? Maybe once, if that.
Yeah, I think it was against Dallas.
Celtics. Dallas got him. Dallas did. I don't think it went to 7 with Dallas.
Oh, I should say San Antonio.
I remember that, but you never get LeBron. I'm telling you, this is a Bulls fan. You never want to go. If you hate LeBron, you never want to let him get to 7. You got to get him in a 6th game. Remember Ray Allen when he made that shot? I was like, goddamn, that it's over. It's over. As soon as they got to that 7, I said LeBron is gonna go into desperation mode, and I don't even think it's gonna even come to that. It's not gonna come to that because I'm gonna tell you something. LeBron will make them niggas play. Y'all need to check out the YouTube channel Spot Brothers RDC World. He's got these things where he does like these skits that like if LeBron loses game 1 or game 2, and it's funny because I could really believe that shit the way he be saying it, like, you trash, man, get your ass up. Like, LeBron ain't playing that game. It's too easy for him now because at this point they're gonna beat whoever they get in. Look, I'm a Jimmy Butler fan and I want to see him go. That's who I'm rooting for. I'm rooting for him, but come on. It's too easy for him, and LeBron is at his career. He ain't about to let that slip.
Well, the thing is, you got 2 of them. It's not just one. You got 2, and basically, there's nobody in the Nuggets can guard either one of those 2 people.
And Davis don't have one.
Which is the same thing. Which is the same thing that happened to Houston. They spotted him up, one game. They let him go off, and then they just basically the 2 alphas just took over. And
hey, you guys had brought up Russell Wilson earlier. And I want to run something by you real quick. I think it's kind of funny, but it's like funny, stupid. But listen to this, though. Mm-hmm. So I'm a big-time Seahawks fan. I've been, rocking with the Seahawks since the early 80s when they had Kurt Warner. And so I've been, when Russell Wilson won the Super Bowl, man, he brought the crown home. That was the first Super Bowl we won. So I've been a big Russell Wilson fan. So I'd be on social media. I'd be on his Twitter, on his Facebook, on his YouTube, and I'd call him Winner Wilson. I say his name is Winner motherfucking Wilson. Yeah, like I made that up. And for years now, I've been saying that. And he named his son Win Wilson. I swear to God, I think he got it from me. I think he got that name Winner from me because nobody else was saying that but me.
Yeah. Russell Wilson is not who you think he is, man. Y'all think he's a simp and a wimp, and I don't know his dick size. So we can't tell that. But one thing he is not a simp. He's not a beta. He never has been. In fact, his problem is he's too much the other way, so he has to kind of soften his image. You see, I've been protecting his image for the longest time, man. Because Russell Wilson's an asshole, man. But people don't know that. Yeah, he's an asshole.
He's unwieldy. He don't bend for people.
He don't bend for people. No, he never did. That's like he was going. I forget what college he was going to, and he didn't want to wait to start. So he said, "Fuck it, I'm going someplace else."
No. He was going. He went to NC State. Yep,
Yeah,
I remember that.
And then he left. Yeah,
and then Wisconsin.
You fucking nigga! That they said that all his way out.
That don't
has to
phase
do with
him.
her having a kid.
Remember that movie Friday? Remember not Friday? Was it with Martin Lawrence and Eddie Murphy? You know what I'm talking about with the prison.
Yeah,
like, where you going, boy?
It was life.
Life. Where you going, boy?
Yeah.
That's how he was.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Hey, just to weigh in on the Clipper talk really quickly. I was rooting for them, but I was surprised at how lost on offense they looked. It just looked like the wrong guys were shooting the ball, and it seemed like they didn't know who the number one was. Was it Kawhi or was it PG-13?
I don't think they cared, man. They know who the one was. They didn't care, man. I think it might have been the bubble. They've been in the bubble too long. They got tired of playing, and I just want to go home. So the only
nigga, I need some pussy, nigga.
They were already.
Need it.
Because right after they clamped down because somebody got caught sneaking a chick in, and basically his wife wanted a divorce, something like that. So they started clamping down. So they made
house.
I forget who it was. So
was it Lou Williams?
No, Lou Williams got caught at a strip club, but there was another dude who got caught sneaking a chick from the outside in, and it got reported. And I think his wife was filing for divorce. Something like that.
Yeah, or no, she waiting for that check, and then she gonna get him. But she bitching about it. But she probably gonna calm down, wait for that check, and if she gonna hold out, see if we get that check.
Well, she gonna get
how
they anyway. Do. She gonna get a check anyway.
I mean, yeah, but she gonna hold out for a little bit. You know how it is. That's how they do. These
somebody said it was Daniel House Jr. Okay, on Houston. All right.
Yeah.
So they probably just tired of being in the bubble, man. It's because the circumstances are abnormal. You got to remember, they're not machines; they're human beings, and they're young dudes. And you coop young dudes up in a place where they can't go out, they can't party, they can't blow off some steam. That's why I said with this bubble thing, it's kind of hard to kind of predict how teams are going to perform because it's unusual circumstances. There's no home court advantage. There's really no crowd. There's and these these dudes, man, they like to party and go out and do that kind of stuff. What happens when you coop them up for like 2 or 3 months, even with the money that they're supposed to make, that they're trying to make up for? So I think the Clippers just quit.
Season right after this. That's what people forget.
Yeah,
forget what? I couldn't hear you.
No, can you hear me now?
You got you.
They were saying they're going into another season right after this.
Yeah, because
this ain't gonna be no break. That's what they said.
When do they start?
They're supposed to start in November. I think November is the first game.
Yeah, it's literally like as if they're getting they're not pushing it back. That's crazy when you think about it. So because some people are like, man, fuck you.
They may or may not, because that's the plan, but they can alter the plan. But yeah, basically the only reason they're having this is because they weren't making any money. They were going to actually not pay the players or pay the players
TV contracts too.
Yeah, TV wasn't making no money. There's no money in the stands. There's no money anywhere. So basically, how do we still pay the players? Get the players played what they're owed? Because a lot of players are on their rookie contracts, right? Or their rookie or their basic contracts, right? And basically their lifestyle, they were broke, man. So they rolling into the COVID, they're broke, and they were suffering. And so they said, okay, the only way we can actually make enough money, actually start paying players, is have a round table. That's why they came up with this bubble plan.
Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting. I mean, and that's the one thing people don't think about with celebrity land. I mean, you've been alluding to it with a lot of these, 1%ers, like the baller dudes, and how it's gonna be a race, because that's another thing that people always underestimate it's interesting when I'm hearing like some of these women talk. And that's when it's fascinating when you really listen to Kevin, and these women just keep calling in, especially when these Africans call in too, where they be like, I'm Nigerian. And Kevin called that shit out. He said, you either Nigerian or you American. Fuck that in and out bullshit. That's literally what he said.
Women are so freaking predictable. I don't know why people think that are surprised. It's so freaking predictable, man. I mean, I called this shit 4 years ago because they're so predictable. They're just doing what they would normally do, man. This is not something unpredictable. That's why I was talking about the even though it's a little bit of tongue in cheek with the cup of coffee. But the thing is, I have seen that in real life in the 80s with the crack era. It wasn't widespread across the country, but the thing is, I've seen it in my neighborhood. Chicks walking the streets selling themselves for shit, man. I remember one this next door to my partner, right? They had two crack holes, right? And they were doing a special, man, for $2.50.
Wow.
50 cents half. They're doing half off.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of that stuff is more virtual now, so it's a little bit hidden.
They're going door to door, giving a half off coupon for some
But for real though, and a lot of people don't realize that it's virtual now, so it's more options because you still got dudes. See, here's the thing: you talk about the environment. Like once the thirsty dudes, once it starts becoming like a tricks market or a thirsty dudes market, that's when stuff is really gonna get bad because they still depend on certain dudes that they are still spending money on like OnlyFans stuff. But even that's gonna fall off because people don't realize these white boys are constantly stealing their shit, putting it through Telegram, moving it via Discord and shit like that. And so a lot of times these white boys ain't paying.
Why spend $100, $20, $100, whatever you're gonna spend on OnlyFans? We can walk next door, fuck your next door neighbor for $5. What?
And you know what though? That's what Glenda was low key been saying that like a little bit, saying it's like normally he wouldn't talk about like the sugar daddy thing, but he said he had to create a course because he said even with these white chicks, like a lot of these young white chicks, even, and I'm not even talking about like crack hoes.
He said it a year ago. He said that a year ago.
We talk about females that got college degrees and they got dirt. Like we talk about well-to-do females, they got debt and they ain't got a job in their field.
You have PhDs, you have educated PhDs leaving Venezuela, going to Colombia to sell pussy because they cannot make a fucking living, and they're selling it for cheap. Okay. In other words,
and that's what a lot of people don't, and a lot of people don't understand too, is even if they're not doing that, you go overseas, and I'm not saying it's just overseas, but a lot of these females, they do be having degrees. I'm not even not even on the ones that's necessarily in the brothels and stuff. Mm-hmm. Just because even where in the job that I work, if you work at a Fortune 500 company, you'll sometimes pay, like a lot of times payroll, some of the smaller divisions will be overseas. So you'll be like, you need to get that check dealt with or something like that. You're communicating with these people, and that was years ago. A lot of this stuff is a lot more network now.
Your education means nothing outside of the system that finds it valuable. It doesn't mean anything. Okay, I don't care what you're educated in. It doesn't mean anything outside the system that
tell that the
valuable.
Black women shit.
They know. Black women know better than anybody else.
Oh, well, they be fronting. They front the best then.
When I was trying to tell this to hood conservative, right? The difference is when Dr. Dunbar, he's probably old enough. Okay, remember Dr. Dunbar? When you first started going to school, only maybe the top 10% of kids even got accepted into college. Remember that?
Yes.
Yeah. And after Clinton wanted to cut welfare, they opened it up. So now instead of the top 10% even being accepted to college, now you got basically if you got a pulse, you got a high school diploma, you can go to college. Okay. You can go to college if you have a pulse and you have a high school diploma. You can get into college. It wasn't that way when I was coming up. It was only for the elite students. Okay, so now you have all these people with degrees, like half of your 30-40% of your population with a degree. What's going to happen to the degree when you flood the market like that?
Yeah, it's going to decrease in value.
It's going to decrease in value unless you got particular skills like our esteemed Dr. Dunbar. Okay, that's why come STEM is so important because Dr. Dunbar he'll probably laugh. Okay, in STEM they put weed out courses into your curriculum to actually separate and to actually keep people that don't have the IQ to cut the mustard out of the program, right? So that's like when you have your chemistry, your physics, your calculus. Those are weed out courses.
And that's why these females stay having psychology degrees,
exactly,
and they ain't doing shit in those degrees.
Exactly. It was exactly, which is why I say if you're gonna go in STEM, I said everybody's got to learn how to read and write. But the thing is, if you're gonna be in STEM, if your math ain't right, you're gonna drop out.
Yeah.
You're gonna drop out. You're gonna wish you could drop out because you're gonna have some headbangers. And that calculus, that calculus and physics are not simple. And chemistry is so mundane, man. I remember if you ever try to do a titration, man, it takes 3 hours, man. You want to poke your eyeballs out. Okay, after about 3 hours, drip, 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 drip. And if you go over, you got to do it again. If you don't get that exact drop, you got to do that shit again, man. So you're sitting there, blip, 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 looking at this little strip, man, waiting for it. I think it's turned pink. Is it pink or blue? Can't remember. Waiting for it to turn. Okay, drip, drip, drip. Oh, you go 2 drops. Oh shit, got to do it again. You got to do another 2 hours. Yeah.
I was going to tell you on Tuesday, I was tutoring 2 students at FAMU. Hope they're not listening. These two young ladies in a biochemistry class.
Uh-huh.
And one of them wants to go to pharmacy school.
Mm-hmm.
I just asked them some basics about what DNA is. What parts, what structures are in DNA, and they were kind of looking at me like nah, and they were just kind of looking at each other like, and I was like, okay, y'all, this is a biochemistry class. It's entry level for you to get to pharmacy school. Y'all should know this. This is basic.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all may be getting a hey, I'd be like, hey, look, if you look cute, you can get in the pharmaceutical sales.
Yeah.
We don't away with that shit.
Hey, Doc, they don't want to talk about carbon rings.
Right.
Yeah, but see, they've been told because they females, though, they are entitled. That's really what it comes down.
You don't want to talk about CH rings and carbon rings and NH and ammonia rings and that kind of stuff. Those kind of structures, because you have to memorize those. You can't predict them. You have to memorize them. There really is no formula for it. You got to memorize that shit about your structures.
Yep. Same thing with the amino acids.
Yep. Yep. A lot of chemistry is math, but chemistry is a hell of a lot of memory because you can't, if you don't know the structure, you can't even predict how one chemical is going to attach to another, and a lot of that shit has to be memorized. In fact, most of that shit has to be memorized.
Yeah, and they don't want no parts of that shit. They don't even want the dudes that actually are good at that shit. That's how much they want to stay away from that shit.
Yeah, yeah. Especially how things attach, and even worse, how shit breaks down under certain conditions. If you add if you add ammonia, water, heat, this shit all breaks down differently. You gotta, you have to memorize how it breaks down. A certain component in it. I got water. If we put on electricity, it's going to divide in hydrogen and oxygen. If I add something else to it, you're going to get a different structure. Okay, so chemistry is irritating. Math is a headbanger.
Big
headbanger, but chemistry is irritating. Go ahead.
Hey, Big Jess.
Yes,
yeah, I want to just touch on something. I know it probably sounds like the SYSBM rant, but
yeah, go ahead.
I want to know what you think about it, like in terms of like where we are as Black men, in terms of evolving in SYSBM, in terms of now we building interracial communities abroad instead of relying on the social structure of America to define.
Admixture is normal. Okay, why you think you have we have laws against it? Okay, you don't make laws against something that's not going to happen, right? Admixture is normal. They prevented it for 200 years. So basically now it's just a natural process. Okay.
And the truth is, here's the thing, you don't need to leave overseas to have interracial communities. I mean,
I'm not saying that.
Let me finish this thought. Yeah.
I mean, at that point, you just got to look at everything from a class point of view. I mean, at that point, really, just be on the right side of when it comes to class, and then you'll be fine. And you don't gotta leave America. I'm not saying you gotta leave America to do either or. If you want to do that, obviously that's an option.
If you can,
but,
if you can do that, most people can do. Most people
well, the reason why I'm leaning towards that argument of us leaving the social structure of what we have in America in terms of what we known as you said, is the black families are our social construct, BGS, right? We spoke about that before. So now,
most guys don't leave. It has nothing to do with social structure. It's a financial structure.
But that goes together. That's coherent.
No, they don't. Okay, no, they don't.
No, because communities, what it takes to do, go ahead.
It's much easier. Is it much easier to go to Europe and say if you have a particular skill and actually find a place in Europe than it is to like Latin America or the continent of Africa or even China, or even Asia? It's financial. Can you especially for young guys, for older people like me, it doesn't matter. Okay, I can go anywhere. Okay, but for young guys, how are you gonna make a living? That's financial. It's any place you go. That's not culture.
And another thing, and then you scaling that up as a group. Here's the thing. Here's the truth, and this is what like folks. It kind of annoys me a little bit when it comes to the SYSBM argument. Let's be clear here. There is not going to be some SYSBM groups being created. What's happening, and dudes need to be very aware of this. I'm not saying you should or should not do it. As far as I'm concerned, if you do it, that's your decision. You need to understand that you're going to be absorbed by another group.
Yeah,
like that. Like there is no, like let's say you were in LA, BGS could obviously, veto this, and you want to get a Latin, you get a Latin girlfriend. Their culture is kind of like what BGS, when you talk about certain groups that are on the rise or on the fall, that's kind of a microcosm of that. If you look at what LA was 25, 30 years ago, and you look at what it is now, you look at it 25 years from now. I mean, clearly, it's going a trend one way. So you're being absorbed, and that's what it's your community that black people or black men are gonna have input on it. No, it's technically their community. You're just getting a bitch and adding on to what the fuck they're doing.
In LA, it's becoming a blended community. It's not necessarily one community or the other. It's becoming blended because you have a lot of cross-cultural stuff going on between, say, Latino community and the black community. So it's
where
blended.
Class would be much more of a bigger thing.
Bigger thing, yeah.
And see, so it's not necessarily like it's going to be because you got to think about it. One thing when it comes to Latins or Spanish, like it's a spectrum. They go from you like white person like Gloria Estefan. Oh, I'm Cuban, but I'm Spanish. Pitbull. But that also can go down to technically a Maryland Negra, and then they usually meet in the middle. Where you usually have I forget, these typical Latin chicks that are promoted as far as, stingers and stars and stuff. They're usually more of what they used to call the Italian, more looking Latinas.
That's Bianchi. If you want to debate somebody, you basically it's on people because we don't debate from the chat. That's like I'm gonna put a link in. If you want to talk about somebody or you got a concern, especially when I have running a panel, you're welcome to come on up. Because I see your comment. I was going to read it, but the thing is, we don't really, unless it's something really pressing, we want to encourage people to actually debate from the chat. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, but I think in many ways, like a lot of times when people really get rah with the SYSBM thing, they kind of act like, okay, there's a plan in which at the end of 50 years, it's actually going to be this SYSBM community. No, what's really going to happen is you all are going to plug into kind of what's already going on. And if you do it right, you're going to be on the better side of that, which is from a class point of view.
All they did was put a name on a phenomenon that was already going on.
Yeah, but it's not there's going to be these SYSBM communities that are ran by black men that did it. No. Black men are smart. Black men can establish networks, kind of like a fraternity and stuff like that, and we get better at working together. But at the end of the day, if you blend with other people, here's the thing. Your kids, if you're a black man, right, straight up, like take Mahomes, for example. Take Michael Porter, for example. Michael Porter Jr., for example. These people are not going to have necessarily the same mentality as you are. Even with LeBron, look at what LeBron had kids with a black woman, but look at what Bronny's probably not going to do that. Look at what what's the dude's name? LeVar Ball. LeVar Ball. It was his dad. Then it was him.
But his mother's white.
Exactly. So it just took one hit, and then look at who he's with. And the point that I'm trying to make is people act like there's some kind of in destination on that. It's not real. It's not really like that. There's no in destination where it's actually a community at the end of that. That's not. It's more about what your own lineage is you trying to do, and you get one.
I don't think there was originally. I don't think there was ever an end destination. I think there, basically, the United States had actually been pushing this since 1945, which is assimilation and admixture. Okay, you're just part of the process. Okay, the only people really railing against it really are black women for the most part, because if in a scenario like that, guess who the outgroup is? It's not black men, it's black women.
Yeah. So and they're only the outgroup.
Hold on, Edward. Let him respond. Yeah.
No, just quick question. So 45. So even in the thick of Jim Crow and all of those things, that was still someone was still gunning for that to happen.
It was either absorb you or kill you.
Yeah, basically they made that decision. The Fabian Soldiers made the decision back in 45. In fact, it was actually Eisenhower,
and they were thinking about killing you.
Yeah, but because they had just seen the Nazis basically exterminate 30 million people, and you only had 10 million black folks in the country, and basically they had already tried to breed you out. Okay, basically, or by cutting your birth rates. Okay, by what is it? By not euthanizing women. What do they call it? I'm blanking. But the thing is that I was looking for it. I was actually looking for the video, right, where they said that
you're talking about giving them hysterectomies or sterilizing them.
Sterilizing them, yeah.
Yep. And by the way, in North Carolina, they actually paid out people a couple of years ago.
Which is something they're doing to immigrant women right now. There's a big thing on Vice where they're sterilizing immigrant women. But that's what they were doing to the black women back in. Margaret Sanger and Negroes were doing that shit back in the early
abortion.
Before abortion. Well, yeah, before abortion was illegal. They were aborting black babies before abortion was legal. But the thing is that Eisenhower had toured the Nazi death camps, and the Fabian Socialist says, okay, if we allow this to get out of hand, things could go wrong. So what are we going to do? Instead of exterminating black people, we're going to try to absorb them. We're going to actually assimilate them, and that's where the assimilation process started right after 1945. And then Truman wasn't really on board with it from 1948 on. But when Eisenhower got in office, that's when it really started with the school integration, the integration of the armed forces, the integration of government offices and stuff like that. That's when it really started. And so it's a one long assimilation process. And now we're in the admission, because, like I said, what is the biggest factor on dating men, which is proximity. You put little brown boys next to white women and Latino women and Asian women. Guess what they're gonna do? They're gonna choose. And basically,
it ain't like you forcing the women to choose. They doing that on their own. They running. They not just choosing. They stepping.
They're choosing. So basically, now
they definitely are choosing for sure.
They marching. Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true.
It's the fact that you're used to them now.
We can barely hear you, Charles.
Oh, can you hear me? Good evening.
I heard you. You used to them.
You're just used to them. I mean, it's basically what it is. Like, you take my parents who really didn't go to school or socialize with white people other than probably at work, and compared to somebody who goes to school with them, you're used to them. It doesn't look taboo to you. Compared to back then, it was a little bit more on the taboo side for people to intermingle, even though people did it for thousands of years. But when you're in a fucking racist ass country, I mean, hey, you got to try something new, I guess. But I don't.
Yeah. What I'm hearing, from what I'm hearing, what I heard on the incel talk that they had with the MGTOWs, white men are not really being chosen in this environment. I don't know.
It's not white.
That is what I'm hearing, because I don't hear the same kind of despair in black men that I hear in white men.
No, because
is it a race thing or what?
Because niggas are fuck fat bitches. Niggas are
no,
you know what niggas
no,
like.
no, I was hearing them. They saying they can't. They're having a hard time getting fat chicks. That's what I'm hearing. I'm not.
Well, that's because my
one time. Who's first?
I gotta sneak it in because we got Hurricane Edward going through. Right now, he's still a tropical storm and shit.
Yeah. Well, you know, Edward I don't do too many live streams. You know, Ed is gonna take advantage. He's gonna say, I may not get another opportunity. I'm actually gonna unload the clip on this one. Yeah.
You know, I mean, god damn, shooting up the club and shit. You know?
But go ahead.
But it's funny because white incels are like fucking extremists. Mm-hmm. Like they're like self-defeat. They're like Thanos in the comics. They have a self-defeated mindset. Like, oh well, I'll have a reason why I can't get a girl because I'm not gonna bathe. So I'm gonna just play my game and get my blow up doll. Even the blow up doll is not even giving me that much attention anymore. And they just come up with excuses not to get a female. Like God, man, it's funny. Like I will tell you, on the dating scene, it sucks because I don't have tolerance. That's the only reason why. I'm just like, you know what? I don't have the tolerance to deal with you, bitch. Get out my car. Just get out. I know we're on the fucking highway. Just get out.
Get a running start, huh?
Well, you know, you got to think about it. White men, I could believe that if you could have a show like what Kevin has with white men instead of black women. Because they're the same ones that have these same kind of standards, so they believe just because of white privilege, it is what it should be, you know. And they operate really in the same kind of mentality. Because the reality is, my question I was going to ask you is, you know, because you know it's over when it's like black females ain't really hitting up on white dudes like that. But see, at the end of the day, white dudes don't really want to date black women like that. They'll rather not date nobody.
A lot of black chicks are not really that attractive to the average white guy, so it's a little fleeting. Like they'll say it just to be trying to insult things.
Most white guys will be after the Asian women.
I can't really speak to it, but the thing is, what they're saying is that they're having problems with all women. That's what they're saying.
Yeah, because Asian women don't give a fuck. Asian women are not. I mean, some of it depends on which ones you're dealing with. Some of them really be wanting white dudes like that, but all of them, it ain't necessary. I'm not saying they want black dudes, but it ain't. But all of them ain't like on it like that. You know, like to the point where they gonna do what a lot of sisters gonna do. Not well. To me, they not like they're not gonna take. This is why I say if it's like a white dude that's taught like the Brad. You know, they ain't gonna get a bottom shelf Brad just to have somebody if they know they could do better. They may not get a black dude. They may not get a black dude, but they not gonna just bottom out like that just because they white.
One at a time, you guys like three people can talk.
Well, Asian women, okay, they've been marrying out at 38%.
You say what?
They've been marrying out at 38%.
Yeah, because they've been imported. A lot of Asians come from overseas. They're actually brides come from overseas.
Right.
Mail order brides.
They're going after these white dudes with college degrees. They're doing real well, just like Ed's talking about. They're not going after bottom shelf Brad like Ados might do.
Not necessarily.
Well, there's the thing is that more white women are getting educated than white men with bachelor's degrees, and that's starting to creep up into the masters and PhDs too. So then when you have a limited amount of college educated white men already, and then
you get Tommy Lauren
get picked off by Asian women, and then you got and then you got competition from other demographics too. It can pose a problem. And then you have this too: is you got these rural white boys, or these white boys that are kind of racist, and you got these attractive, liberal, more progressive-minded, educated white women, and they don't want to fuck with them redneck white boys
because they're not in their class. Yeah.
Let's just tell the truth. About a lot of them are just mail order brides for the incels that can afford them.
Basically, there's they're upscale men. They want Asian women because they're more submissive. But the thing is that but a lot of Asian women that you see that are marrying out, like 80%, they're not native to the country. They're coming over from someplace else, like Philippines, Korea. Not Japan, but Thailand, places like that.
Because once they get one generation in, and I'm telling you, I've heard it from white boys. Once they get one generation in, they get stuck up as fuck. Like they like the white. Like I'm not saying that's not what they prefer. Even with Filipinos, I'm not. Once they get over here, I'm not saying that's what. But even within what they prefer, because then at that point, that's another thing too. You got to look at the fact that Asians are a relatively small number. They're wide in the West Coast, but they're a small percentage in America, so their numbers are built up. Because again, that's based on their own percentage of men there. Versus if you were dealing with Asia, like in Asia, then it'd be completely different thing because there's just so many more numbers. So, but even amongst that, like I said, you don't really see Asians. You were right. You don't see Asians with rednecks like that. So, and really, most white dudes are not paid like that. That's what people act like. If you white, you automatically play because they're just opposing it against being black. But the reality is, you really just talking about what, like 15-20% of the males like that, if that. That's not a big number when you look at, you got these white Latinas, you got white women, and then you got Asians, and then you got maybe some of the mulattoes that might be able to throw their ticket in there. You know, it's not a lot of dudes. And then you looking at height, you know, and all of that, the masculinity part, like that cuts that number down a lot.
Well, I mean, hey, never stop people from fucking.
Yeah. And then, yep. And some Asian dudes break black, and some Asian females break black. I mean, you know, that's another thing too.
Of course they do. Yeah.
They don't marry them though. That's the thing.
Well, you know, but let's be real. Let's be real. We're all black men here. Black men don't give a fuck about marrying these chicks. I know,
but the thing is, but the statistics do. Go ahead, Don. You gonna say something?
Okay, BGS.
That's a good. I'm just saying that, like most Asian women do prefer upper class white males, which you guys did cover already. But for each is the taking, because wherever a black man is, he can get, right? So yeah, it is what it is, right? You know what I mean?
You'll get your share.
Yeah.
Well, black men don't even the Asian women that black men like are generally Southeastern, which are going to be more likely to show you favor. Like black men for the most part don't even want, not to say the Japanese women are not attractive, but they don't even want like Japanese or Korean, like unless it's mixed with something. Now, you mix it with black, it comes out generally good. But that straight up like Mandarin, Japanese and Korean, most black men ain't dealing with that because they ain't got the body that black men want. You got to go to like Philippines. You got to go to,
It's not just the body. It's just, god damn, them big ass heads and look funny looking motherfuckers.
Well, it depends. Everybody has different.
Not all of them are ugly, They can get it. Not all of them are ugly.
Everybody has different.
Well, yeah, obviously within, because I mean, shit, I'm still looking for the great Japanese / Brazilian mix. That's I've been told that's a population in Brazil. You get that, yeah.
Well, you keep that shit, all right. BGS a ball for 4 days. It's time for a cigar liquor run.
But yeah, man. But going back,
I was gonna ask you real quick. Like, who pissed you off today? BGS there?
No, BGS said he was just being an asshole. That's why he just wanted to pick on somebody that was bothering him. That's what that was. It wasn't like did you see the D Chicago dust up Officer Charles?
No, tell me about it.
You gotta hear. I gotta send you that link because BGS, like, you ain't never heard BGS get this mad. All sorts of motherfuckers beat your ass. Like BGS was mad as fuck. Like, who the fuck is this?
It's kind of funny. It's been that type of week, and I'm just looking at people like, you fucking bunch of curmudgeons. Oh, I don't want to talk to you. I only respect these type of men. Bitch, you don't even know me. Like if you'll take your non-married, I can smell the 250 pounds off your fucking breath ass.
Yeah, I mean, once you get past all that smoke screen bullshit, it's really kind of sad and pathetic with a lot of these folks we're talking about. Like I said, that one chick that pissed me off, and I told I'll talk about the fucking lights in her goddamn room. I called that shit early, and now she got rid of that shit.
Like, I just get tired of listening to some people, man. You talk bad about women. Usually I don't, but I just talk the truth about certain women. You're mad because either you aged out, your weight is like over the limit. Like, I mean, you just a fucking nasty disposition having motherfucker. So I mean, of course men don't want you. They want you to leave, not to be in the bed. So I mean, I'm just wondering, like when he does these live streams, I'm just like, damn, who pissed off BGS now? Thank you.
Oh no, that was just yeah. He was just irritating. He didn't really piss me off.
Yeah,
I knew he wouldn't show up.
So I told Charles he needs to see the D Chicago when you went off on that shit. That shit was funny. I need to clip that shit out, man. The Roger shit.
On who?
When you went off on D Chicago, let me tell you, mother.
Oh.
When he was on Roger Report and that dude talking all that shit.
Oh yeah.
Was it an old Negro spiritual?
No, it was. The sad thing is his woman was actually, had more common sense than his ass did. And he was trying to, it was funny, man. Nigga, have you ever lived with a woman? So you can't talk about, because I was talking about the gynocracy, and certain people, it's like they want to get at me, and I'm like, when I do my live streams, where you niggas at? But yeah, it was funny. You gotta hear it, man. I wish Angry Man would have talked to him. Shit, sometimes it's like
he was on some bullshit, man. It didn't matter. On some bullshit.
But yeah, man. Going back to what I was saying,
over his face. Look at that shit, man.
Anthony Brian Logan would be proud.
Oh yeah, Anthony Brian Logan would be proud. Anthony, they would be proud. Got American flag over his mug. Ain't that some shit?
Go ahead, get the MAGA hat just to fuck with certain people, man. Yeah. Certain black people, they get triggered. Especially this election getting ever so closer, boy. I can't wait. My birthday is on November the 2nd. It's on that Monday. That Wednesday is gonna be great, man, because it's gonna be some tears. Some people gonna be wilding. People be wilding out on social media, man.
Yeah.
I'm just to see people be triggered. Like, oh my God, I'm leaving the country. Like, oh my God, I can't do it. Do you even think a winner's gonna be called that week?
Yeah, I do. I don't think it's gonna be as close as people think. I
can't. I don't know. Oh my God.
I was telling my friends that if Trump gets reelected, I'm gonna feel bad for the people. I mean, because so many people are riding on who wins, and so many people want him out. I'm gonna feel bad for people if he gets back in.
I don't think
it's gonna affect their mental state.
I don't think the majority.
It is.
I don't think the majority of people care one way or the other who wins.
Really?
They're worried about whether they can go back to work, whether they can get a stimulus, whether they can pay their rent. That's what people worry about. They're not worried about a fucking election.
Well, they fucking around on that.
Yeah.
I mean, you ain't gonna get no stimulus till probably February. March.
They're waiting for some smart guy like you, Dr. Dunbar, to come up with a cure or a treatment. That's what they're waiting on. Now, if you came up with a treatment for COVID, Dr. Dunbar, they would elect you for president.
Okay.
Shit.
Gotta go up.
They got my brand back. They got my fucking brand back. I said they got my brand back.
Oh, what's your brand?
Well, my San Cristobal.
Okay.
Oh shit! I just dropped that shit. You ain't see that shit.
No, I didn't see it. We don't care, man. It's the store owner that cares.
You already know on YouTube. You already know on the internet land, though. Yeah, people care, and there's gonna be some people that's gonna. It's gonna be some people that's gonna do some crazy shit. I already know it's coming.
Even on internet land, I'm watching the political folks, man. For the most part. Number one, even the so-called liberals, they don't particularly like Biden, man. Biden and Harris, okay. So basically, no matter who you vote for, you're gonna have to hold your nose. And I think for the vast majority of people, they do not care who wins or loses. They care about, can I pay my rent? Can I buy food? When I can send this little bastard kid back to school because he's getting on my motherfucking nerves, okay. That's what they care about. So
you don't even see Harris like that.
Because she's a negative. So anybody can actually the first person that actually solve this problem will actually win the election.
Other than Biden actually picked the vice president?
Huh? Yeah,
it's hard to believe. I felt like he would have picked Elizabeth Warren, but she would have been all up out there in Trump's ass, like this is it. But it's like everybody quiet. It's just too quiet, man. Even because COVID's been around for a minute, so it ain't.
No, it's COVID. No, been around for a minute, man. If you think about it, the worst infection we've had in the history of the United States was the Spanish flu, right? That killed, I think, 678,000 Americans. Okay, back then, but it took like almost 2 years to do that, right? COVID within its first year is going to kill 400,000 people, unless they do something about it. Okay, and that's with the stringent regulations. So if you
talk about in the United States,
it's just in the United States. So basically, if it stays on its trajectory, COVID will kill as many people as the Spanish flu. And people saying it's regular, and we know it's not. And the thing is, that's with the severe lockdowns, man.
Well, that's not. I get what you're saying, and that's kind of not what I meant. But yeah, go ahead.
So what, doctor?
Well, in Canada right now, they're saying how they're going to go into a second wave lockdown. You know, Trudeau already declared it that it's possible because we're getting some COVID numbers up north. So
yeah,
we're going to go through. They're having talks about second waves.
Yeah, if the death rate goes up, they will lock it down again because they're going to have to. But the thing is, I said that you can only do it once. And then if you got to either do it right once or not do it at all. And I think, I don't know about I think Canada was a little bit more stringent than the United States, but
it was, but
United States,
leaking.
In the United States, you can't do it again. So
yeah, also they only dealing with less than 35 million people across the board. And then the areas they are, it's not like they're dealing with all the land. They're dealing, most of Canada is like closer to the United States as far as what a population is. So it's a little bit different. But
we having second wave talks.
Hopefully this thing doesn't mutate to a more severe form. Hopefully it mutates like the H1N1 did, actually, because they never had a cure for H1N1. It just mutated to a less toxic form. That's all it did.
Oh, so he got lucky with the mutation.
Yeah, because they never found a cure for H1N1. It just mutated to the point where it didn't kill people like that anymore.
Wow.
Okay, Master Teacher, I'm going to drop down and listen.
All right,
fellas.
Did you want me to do a show on a partner versus wife or?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'll actually do a separate one.
Yeah, I always got respect for the PhDs because any motherfuckers that always act like the shit you talking about is pseudo. Well, nigga, we got like 5 between Tommy Curry, Dr. Tianson Johnson, the G with the PhD, Dunbar. We add Nicole? We'll add her in there too. Yeah. I say.
We're gonna add eventually gonna add Dr. Ronald Neal. He eventually will come in too.
For the credibility Negroes, we got BGS, Angry Man. I'm electing Dennis Sperling into that too. Yeah. Because he got his property, he got his money, he got his ex-wives, he got his kids, his baby mama. So you can't say he ain't fucking, he ain't paid.
And he's degreed up the ass. So
exactly. So you can't say he ain't fucking, he ain't paid, you don't see it. So we got all our checks covered for any and not even for the women. What's that dude that wrote that the black man and the white man of the black community, those dudes is really who need so don't act like I'm scared because I'm scared they're gonna cuss us out. Them PhDs ain't gonna cuss at you.
You notice since the PhDs came in, we don't get flagged like we used to. YouTube and Google don't come after us like they used to.
So we're providing some protection.
Legitimacy. I mean, really.
Well, it's a bunch of intellectual black men come together. I mean,
in other words, they say, okay, well, because the first thing they say, well, who said that your theories were worth anything? Because nobody did. I said, well, ask Dr. Johnson. Ask Dr. Curry, ask Dr. Neal, ask Dr. Gigi. You can't use his real name, but ask him. We got 4 of them. They're published. They're well written. They're well respected. Now what?
And and we all too lazy to do the research. That's why it's very important for y'all to at least share these channels. That's another thing too. A lot of these PhD videos, like Dr. Tommy Curry, who are all the PhDs, Nicole as well, because it's always good to throw a female in there so people act like we ain't being, the information. You can share this stuff on Facebook, because especially their videos.
I was listening to Nicole's last video. Nicole is as smart as fuck, man.
Yeah, she is.
She is smart as fuck, and she doesn't even know how smart she is. Nicole is smart as fuck. Let's listen to her break down amino acids and amino acid chances. God damn, this chick is smart.
BGS is like, if I was 20 years younger, god damn it.
I'd be afraid, man.
Why do you think we call it
I'd be afraid of her. Say, damn, somebody smarter than me. Oh, I don't know if I can handle that.
Why do you think we call it the scientist supreme? That's why.
Yeah, she's smart.
She's like Dr. fucking Strange with science.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, when you get people like that and get people like Dr. Dunbar, you gotta hold on to them, man, because you ain't gonna get many. You ain't gonna get many, man. I'm gonna tell you, because Dr. Dunbar, they ain't gonna say, but most guys that at his level, they pricks, man. They won't have nothing to do with you. So you get somebody like Dr. Dunbar and Nicole that can break shit down to you, man, and be willing to do it for you. Psst, man, that's gold, man. They're better than gold. Okay, because to hire Dr. Dunbar to come break shit down, you better give him like $300-400 an hour. Okay, better give him $300 an hour. Yes, sir.
Appreciate that. Before I go, I want to say that that wives versus partners piece is very, very important, especially what Kevin's talking about over in his space. But that's just something that wasn't at least. We know it changed.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is when I think back to my family, my folks aren't really pushing marriage. They're not really pushing marriage hard, but they hope we find a quote unquote life partner. Me and my brother.
Partner. In other words,
it's a very, very important discussion.
Let me ask you a question. Is your mother more of a wife or a partner to your father?
Well, both my parents are twice divorced.
Okay.
She has a lot of motherly and caregiving quality. She's very gentle.
Yeah.
I don't know if she got caught in the whole she was born in 1950.
Okay.
I don't know.
Oh, shoot, yeah.
Why well, I have ideas about her why she couldn't stay partnered.
Okay.
But she was unable to stay partnered in two marriages.
Okay. So she's really more of a partner than a wife, because the World War II generation didn't like being wives. They actually wanted their independence, so they started training women to be partners instead of wives. So you're gonna get as it's come down in generations, you see less and less and less and less wives. They're actually trained to be that. My daughter always says every time, I said, when you gonna find you're gonna get married? She said, when I find a partner, not a husband, but a partner. So
right.
Both my daughters say that.
Yeah, see, that needs to be explained. That needs to be unpacked a little bit further. But what I will say before I go is, my mother has, looking back, growing up, she tried to instill a lot of blue pill things into me and my brother. She tells me, well, your father never did anything romantic for me, and your father never did.
Yeah.
And so even back then, it wasn't just good enough. It wasn't good enough to just pay the bills. And provide.
Yeah.
It's funny, Dr. Dunbar.
She wants a partner. She doesn't really want a husband. Go ahead.
Okay. See, we got to unpack that some more.
Okay. All right.
It is. And that's why, I do bring up like Jason Black's, ideology of you rather have a 20% winner than 100% loser. A lot of these chicks need to just accept that y'all gonna have to double up and triple. If y'all want the type of dude y'all want, y'all gonna have to double up and triple up. And that's not even coming from a dude that's necessarily polygamous. But they're gonna be alone. They're gonna be fucking each other.
They admit defeat.
They admit it out loud, but you turn the corner, see how they live. They actually live it.
That's what I'm exactly. And the thing is, the dudes.
Officer Charles wants to say something to Dr. Dunbar before he leaves.
I was going to say to Dr. Dunbar, my mother was actually quite the opposite.
Really?
I think she was actually one of the first motherfuckers to say these bitches ain't shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
She was the first to tell me. We didn't live in a blue pill house. you got it full frontal.
Okay, she one of them old Southern women that believe in the wives and shit like that, huh?
She's a wife. I mean, even at my house, if she comes to my house, first damn thing she doing, she'll try to sit in my chair just to be an ass. But I don't mind her sitting in my chair. Nobody else can sit in my chair but my parents. But then she'll start cleaning and cooking. Like she'll take my son's clothes and start washing. I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? Like, I'm gonna wash his clothes. I said, she's just a wife. She's just raised to be a wife. Like, if she sees a smudge somewhere, she'll start mopping.
Like, yeah. That's training. That's training.
Yeah, she get OCD about that.
Yeah, that's basically that's how you really tell whether a woman's a wife or not. Basically, if she comes into your room, if your house is a little messy and she don't start cleaning, she's not a good wife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I found
These women are balking that shit. What?
3 girls who did that. Like, I left out the house to go to work, and there's one girl there, and the goddamn room, the whole damn room in the house was clean. I was like, you good people. You good, girl.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
And by the way, I still got you for that cigar, that liquor, Dr. Dunbar. I'm gonna pick your brain.
All right.
I'm off this weekend. Woo!
Man.
You know what? It's a 3-day weekend for me. So hey, I got your number though. I'll shoot you a text.
Okay, cool. That'll be.
All right, fellas. I'll talk to y'all later.
All right, thanks, Dr. Dunbar.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right.
Hey, BJ, let me ask you something.
Good doctor.
Okay, go ahead, TD.
I just wanted to jump back into politics real quick because I was curious about your opinion on this. I saw somebody brought up in the chat because I had noticed this too. I believe it was earlier this week. Kamala Harris had referred to she was going to do a press conference and she said the Harris and Biden administration, and Joe Biden also made the same quote slip up by saying the Harris Biden administration, and I've always been under the belief that she was originally supposed to be the one for the Democrats. Like, do you believe that as well?
I don't have any I don't have any inkling about it, but the thing is it very well could have been because they were trying to make her into another female Obama. So they had hopes for her. So
I believe they were that stupid.
Especially the California Democrats.
Oh God,
ran by Pelosi.
Yeah, ran by Pelosi. So they might have. I don't know if they wanted to see if she could cut the mustard, but she couldn't.
I mean, when you got the personality of a fucking rock, and you basically made a career of locking up black men everywhere you see, nobody's going for that shit too much.
Yeah, we've had presidents that have personalities of a rock, you know. but the thing is, if you campaign on Biden Harris, you actually need her for a certain segment of the population. So that's probably where you're running on. You pick a vice president that actually give you something that you're lacking.
This motherfucker got his door open. I swear to God, you about to give me road rage, nigga.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Kamala's so bad. Even a lot of sisters don't even like her like that. That's how bad it is. So
yeah, but there's a lot of negatives she has in the black community.
She could barely articulate herself, though. You know.
No, she's actually very well spoken. The thing is that she
can't get her lies straight.
Yeah, she can't get her lies straight. Exactly. That's the problem. That's the problem.
Once you get past that smile, you get past that smile and she light skinned, and you see, here's the thing about Kamala. Kamala's a person that you send out to the folks in order to stop them from asking for the details. If you somebody that you focused on the details, then it's not gonna work. But if you're not focused on the details too much, you just want some attention. Kamala's actually great for that.
Let that mask drop and see the real Kamala come out. Okay, she's not a very nice person once that mask drops, and she's trying to hide it by being sweet and nice and stuff like that. She's really not that way.
I think she's a classic what they would call uppity Negro. But I don't even think she believes she's black.
She knows she's black.
She doesn't mesh too well with the black culture too well, does she?
Yeah, really, she does. I mean, she grew up in basically a black neighborhood. She went to HBCU, So and before she actually got up into politics, you couldn't tell her from a black woman. The hairstyles, the haircuts, the makeup. She looked like a light-skinned black chick.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, and she did what?
She
She fucked Montel Williams. She fucked Willie Brown.
Yeah.
So who did Montel Williams fuck? God damn.
Amongst others.
Amongst others. I mean, so she being a typical light-skinned chick, so she didn't text back, did she?
Huh? Say what?
She didn't text back, did she?
She probably didn't.
You know what's funny is that I seen that a lot of Indian Americans actually don't even rock with her like that.
Nah, because she's black.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, she's not really. What's the chick that was the governor of South Carolina? Because she's Indian too.
Okay.
But she's more on the Priyanka Chopra side of the Indian game, the Gandhi side of the white side. You know, even
what's
Gandhi
her name,
was
Edward?
racist. People forget about that.
What's her name?
It's not Haley, huh? I forget her name, but her real name, she changed her real. I think it was Nikki. It's not Nikki Haley. I don't, because Nikki Haley was in New Hampshire.
Mm.
It might be Nikki Haley now that I think about it.
Captain Cisco says it is Nikki something. It is Nikki Haley.
Yeah, it's Nikki Haley. Yep, and that's not her real name. That she changed it. You know, and to be fair, even Jon Stewart changed his name. I mean, you know, people change their name, but they know what time it is. But see, she looks more. She could get away with it. She looks like maybe you know, I won't say she's white passing, but she's passing enough. Then yeah. So anyway.
I thought she was white passing Nikki Haley because I recently found out she was, you know, quote unquote person of color. I said, what? The way she sounds, the way she looks. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's why I keep saying fuck that person of color shit. That's a different race because that can encapsulate people that ain't got nothing to do with really being black, and that's the game with that. That's why black people got to stop letting them say that shit.
Well, people of color came about so they can incorporate all the immigrants.
Even black women do people of color shit.
So they can eat.
Yeah, and they don't understand they're fucking out. They don't understand they're fucking themselves up when they do that. Like, even if you on fuck black men doing, that's how you know that's how you know they're really traitors. And usually you hear immigrants really saying that, like Joy Reid and people like that. They like to play that game because they know the game, and that's why, like I said, when Kevin called that chick out, I'm Nigerian. Were you born here? Yeah. Well, you're American. Oh, you know, I got my no, fuck that in and out bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Kevin rarely curses either. So when you hear me funny, like, yeah, you know, call that shit out. Because I get tired of that bullshit. Because they really play that shit like they think everybody else is fucking stupid. I'm like, well, you just hate immigrant, bitch. Shut up.
Yeah.
I hate black women too.
I'll drop the link, but we're not going to be here all day. So I'm just telling people that are not in. So it's not.
Right, so if you're going to get in, you got something to say, you need to say something. But yeah man, I'm not gonna lie. Some of I'm very annoyed because there's a lot of TV shows I've been watching, I've been getting into, and I gotta admit, BGS,
what
they fucking killing black men. They're killing the shit out of black men, man, for real.
Oh, really?
Like,
okay.
Like the show The Boys. Like if they would have did this the first season, I might not have got into it. The black man was actually the first person to kill somebody.
We back to the 1950s again, huh?
But in this second season, man, it's oh my god, like okay, so without giving any spoilers, so one of the themes is, so everybody knows Homelander is more like he's kind of bigoted, but it's like with everybody, it don't show up with, you know, gays, all that. He's a typical white Homeland thing. So my bad.
Okay.
It's fucking outside shit. But now they got this chick. And her name is Stormfront. Okay. And yes, they did that on purpose.
Okay.
Like the website. And she's, and so basically, and it's interesting because she's on some, they haven't revealed it yet, but in her character, she's on some white supremacist shit. The CEO is the dude from the black dude from Breaking Bad.
Dude,
you know what I'm talking about.
You talking about
Esposito?
Oh yeah, Esposito, yeah.
Yeah, he's the CEO. Yeah, so I'm like, God damn, man, like they really throwing the racial shit out there. So for any of these white dudes, for any white person that had a problem with the Watchmen, oh, they love this show. They would love this show.
You talking about The Boys?
Yes.
I mean, I bet the writer of the thing. Interesting guy. But it was
worth?
Huh?
I was just asking Edward, is The Boys worth watching?
It's worth
it. Okay, yep. I'd rather get Charles to co-sign that than it's just me because I still got to hold that Star Wars L.
Worth it, but it's worth it. Plus, you gotta it's worth it. Plus, you gotta read the books to get a total understanding. It's like if you put superheroes in a really fucked up world of mentality, you got The Boys.
And it's a brute. I mean, like when it comes to like the killing, the blood. Oh, they show it. They show it.
So this is grimy.
Yeah, like what would really happen if Superman lasered you?
I mean, put it to you this way. I would tell anybody when you read a lot of these shit, read the book first, and you'll get a gist of like, oh, this world is pretty fucked up. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, Logic Win says the same thing.
Huh?
Logic Win says the same thing.
Yeah, read the book, then you'll get the gist of it.
Okay, see, I'm talking from a perspective. I haven't read any of your books, so yeah. But
don't be a typical nigga.
Well, I'm seeing it unfold. Because I just watched this last episode. Man, it's because Charles, where I'm at is where they went to find out who Stormfront was before, and then they have a flashback of something she did. Charles, have you seen that?
Yeah, I've seen it.
This actually isn't even a spoiler. In this flashback, this person is like 50 years old. So go back to like Jim Crow South, because this was in the South. Oh, his was funny. Literally, check this out. So I live in Raleigh, North Carolina. Garner is actually one of the cities right by Raleigh, right? Literally, that's where they went. It was literally on the paper, Garner, North Carolina, what address, right? So they actually went there and they talked to a black woman. The black woman talked about somebody killed her brother. And they went to this flashback of her brother driving and her in the car. And then he gets out and this superhero stops them and basically,
she was called Liberty back then.
Yeah, and she hit him, and if a superpowered person hits you, they literally show like the imprint of her fist in the skull. Like they show that shit. Like I'm talking about, like they do a zoom in shot to his face, and it looks like some fucking
looks like hamburger meat.
Yeah, like they show it. It ain't no. So it's like, man, like that's see that.
That's the reason why you got to read the comics, because Stormfront was a guy in the comics, and and so was I forgot who Butcher's who taught Butcher. It was a man in the comics. So they do a lot of
they gender bend. They did gender bend that. And then obviously in the comics they show the Nazi and Bot is basically from a scientist that how they brought in scientists like NASA and stuff like that. That's kind of like how Bot got in, and so that's kind of how all that stuff is in. So the point is, like, when it comes to like right now, and right now in the last episode, one of the speedsters who's black, like she was talking to him. And she was saying some dog whistle language, and even he said, like, you got a problem, because he was picking up on, because she was saying it's funny because she comes off as like a liberal. That's the thing that's like interesting to me is when you first see her, it's almost like she's one of these white girl liberals, always got something to say, like a white girl liberal millennial. That's how she comes off as.
She's the ultimate Karen.
Yeah, but yeah. So it's a lot of red pill shit in it. Yeah.
I'm talking to you, white chick who just walked past my truck.
Yeah. For you all that like kind of in this space and you all understand the red pill stuff, you'll see kind of the layers of it, because obviously the blue pill world is basically these superheroes are presented in a certain way. Because imagine if Disney owned superheroes, so it's a combination.
What show
of
are we talking about?
The Boys. Because they got movies, they got a whole bunch of propaganda designed to protect their image. It's like that, like kind of like how BJ, what you said about the NBA and how the image is protected.
Yeah.
Read the books first before you go to the show. It makes more sense.
All right.
Or you can be a nigga.
Yeah.
You
want to jump in, Mr. Z?
Yeah, no, I just want to talk about the video you posted, man. BGS, man. The one where you black men and our economics and how we're like
blow up the black community.
No, that video, BGS. it solidified everything I've been saying for like a decade, right? Like it's our sister. I call it the myth of white womanhood, and I think I might have stole it from you, but yeah, it's like a genius statement because they don't want to be just the normal white woman, right? They want to be that top 20, top 10% white woman. And now they've constructed, and Kevin Samuels kind of touched on this on some of his like stuff from maybe 2-3 months ago, where like they constructed this image of white women that's not even real, not for even the vast majority of white women. So like I don't know, sisters are kind of chasing after this ideal that doesn't even exist in the world they think they're trying, well, the world they're trying to fit into. So that video just spoke to it. Like you want more from your man than the white woman that you're trying to be like wants from her man.
Yeah.
Well, shit, just type in SYSBM in the BGS's search channel. You got a whole bunch of videos. Why black men go SYSBM? You'll love that shit. Yeah. You're welcome.
Yo, no, I've seen all of those, but
and look for the kick penguin.
Just spoke
What's the name of that
it,
channel, Edward?
Well, it's BGS's channel. If you type in, if you search, if you go to BGS's channel and then you go in the search, a lot of people don't know this. You can actually search videos within a channel. So if you click on the video, the channel, and on the upper right hand side is a search. Just type in basic keywords like SYSBM or Kick Rocks or stuff like that, and it'll bring up all those videos and have at it. There's some good classics in there. Type in Jason Black and you'll get some good classics in there too. When Jason Black talking all this shit, when he's railing against the guy knockers, you want to hear Jason Black style? Calling that shit out. Oh yeah,
bro.
That's why I wasn't worried. That's why I wasn't about Jason Black and what he's talking about the red pill, because it half the dudes in this black red pill community are fans of yours. I don't know what he's talking about.
And he literally just did a post. He literally just did a post saying that the problem is not that black women need to lower their standards. The problem is black women need to get realistic standards.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
But that's what BGS was saying in his video. Okay, anyway. Yo, like, and that video right there, I'm gonna like spam a bunch of people that I know with that video because it spoke especially like the first like 5 or 6 minutes. It just spoke exactly to what your entire channel says, like what Kevin Samuels is trying to do, what Angry Man touches on. It just speaks that myth of white womanhood, and it's destroying our sisters from the inside out. Because the goal you're chasing after, the women you think have it don't even got it.
Yeah,
how crazy is that?
But the problem is, which I know everybody scratches their head about. Okay, you have all these qualifications for marrying a dude, right? But you had none of those qualifications for having a baby by him, which is fucking insane. I said, can you?
And not only have I heard them call Kevin and say that shit exactly like that, I've called them try that shit with Jason a few times.
Well, Kevin will occasionally call them out.
It's the narrative that they tell themselves.
Yeah, let me finish and then you can jump in.
But it's Kevin occasionally calls them out and says, men are human beings, right? Like they're not just these tools for your ego and for your insecurities, right? And like I remember he said that to the sister. She sounded cute, right? But he said that to her, and her vocal reaction was kind of like she was shocked that he said that.
It was said that. Yes. She never considered it. Yeah,
they never considered that men are human beings.
They don't like
we're human beings.
Yeah, let's see our humanity.
Go ahead, Truth.
Well, part of this is we all have our narratives, and part of the black male narrative for many of us is that you're raised up kind of rough. You might not graduate from high school. You might not go to college. You got some time in the streets. You might go to jail. And then, you kind of turn your life around. And so we got this black male redemption story. Then you can go back and say, when I was young, I was in the hood and, now I mentored the youth and blah, blah, blah. So they get it right the first time.
Yeah, there's a lot of dudes like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, but for women, though, they got their own narrative. And part of that is, it was tough for me, raised up, or even if it wasn't, it was going to be tough with these men. And I got pregnant and had a baby and I did it alone. And then, I went to college, or I was in college and got pregnant. And now I want a husband.
Is this Dr. GG?
Doesn't work.
Yeah, I'm here, man. Like, this Dr. GG.
All right. I just want to make sure.
I'm in my car, so I heard y'all talking about this, man, and it just, look.
Well, class is in session, Doctor. Go ahead.
Shout out to the doctor.
I've been getting into arguments with guys lately, man, who have been saying some pretty deprecating things about Pookie and Ray Ray, and about how these women prefer thugs and they don't prefer honest, hardworking, and decent men.
That's not true.
It vexes me when I hear this, because I think it's basically black men folding in on one another and perpetuating subculture violence theory.
Yeah.
And basically, to me, it's like, okay, so you having problems with women translates into women having a problem with the selectivity of men. It might just be that you're not actually self-confident and you're not actually talking to a bulk of women, because most women are going to turn you down. They're just going to turn you down. So men have to pursue women. You got to pursue them. If you want them, pursue them. But in terms of marriage, men, I've never had a problem getting a woman, but I have had problems being able to deal with their attitudes when you actually get them, because they soft nice. Then they start to peel back the layers of their real selves, and then it becomes a problem.
The mask drops,
When the mask
I'm absolutely glad you called up, because I actually came across that video and I was highly disappointed. You know, I had to actually turn that shit off. Said, let me not change my opinion. Yeah, I really want to protect my opinion, but yeah. So I remember it because you did that video about a month ago. It was with 100. And although I may say some of the things differently from that video, you know, this idea, this is. I kind of come on the other side of that. People got to stop assuming that, well, black men that say this can't get, you know, women, because that to me, I feel like that's a crutch. Yes, are there some dudes like that? That's true, but there's some dudes like that with every community. It's not with the black community that's any more prevalent. But the reality of the situation is, at this point, this is why I'm glad we're in this space now. I don't have to make that argument no damn more. I can just now say, look at Kevin's show. Hell, half the time go to Jason Black's show when the women call in. Pick a show. These women say it themselves now in much more bigger numbers. I want a dude that is they say it. I mean, even I'm not trying to say Cynthia G represented women, but even she said, I need a toxic man. This is what they say. So at this point, it's no longer now, oh well, we got to make the argument, so it becomes the street dude versus educated classic black men debate like it used to be on BGS. These women are now openly saying that this is how the fuck they get down. They're openly saying that. So at this point, we no longer need to have that argument. And at this point, if dudes want to believe, when it comes to hardworking black men, I actually go completely against that. Because you know why? Because black women have a very big blue collar shaming problem. Number one, and number two, so this idea of now I'm not saying that hardworking black men can't get women. That's not what I'm saying. But a lot of, and this goes back to what you just said about when you get into a relationship with them too. But what happens is they never give you that respect. Once the honeymoon period is over, unless you just fucking their eyeballs out, then, you know, at that point, they're going to start that unsubmissive shit starts coming out. You know, man, even if you're like,
You know, I was going to ask Dr. Gigi a question.
Go ahead.
Because I was actually talking to Dr. Dunbar, and I don't know if you're old enough, but when I first went to college, right, only like the top 10% of students actually went to college, and and remember that didn't change until Bill Clinton actually came and actually reformed welfare, where I started sending a lot of lower class women, forcing them into the colleges, so the colleges have to open up, but they could charge more. So the amount of degrees just went up like exponentially. So now have a lot of so-called educated women that have degrees, but basically they're not really. What's a good term for that, doctor?
You're talking about the elite, your Jack and Jill type of women. You know, your
Jack and Jill type of women, or somebody like you that's a bright student that made it into the elite. So what you have is basically they turn colleges into degree mills. So what you have now is you got women, a lot of women with degrees, but basically they're still hood chicks.
Yeah. So you know, my thoughts about it is this, man. Look, I'm just say this, man. This has been my experience with other guys that I know, because there are many men who are professionals, corporate, guys, in professors, blue collar guys.
Yeah.
Look, It doesn't matter if you have a degree or not. It doesn't matter if you're making 6 figures or not. It doesn't matter what you're doing. These women are going to buck up against you regardless. It's what it is. This is the culture that we live in at the current moment. They're not giving anybody a chance. That means, like, when they peel back the mask, when they take off all of the, the extras and the curtain is revealed, the curtain reveals the nakedness, people have problems. Women have problems. They're human beings. And they've been enculturated to push back against masculinity because that's just the prevailing norm in our culture right now. But the only thing I don't like to see, I'm just telling you, it just rubs me the wrong way. Because, look, a lot of, another thing that I want to talk to you about, I want to ask you a question, Black Gnostic. It's like this. You and T.S. Johnson the other day went through archetypes about black men.
Right.
And the first archetype you all covered was the archetype of the thug.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, the thug, I think what attracts women to the thug is his ability to actually be, I mean, for lack of better terms, his martiality. I think women are attracted. I think women are attracted to men who have martiality.
Yeah, but you know
martiality? What's that?
No, he's a soldier. Basically, we know back in the day, because you old enough. Back in the day, they used to call gangbangers and thugs street soldiers, right?
Correct.
So in other words, that basically, that's what attracts women to what they call the quote unquote thug. They used to call them thugs. That's a general term now. That's like an archetype now. But the thing is, his ability to actually fight and actually protect, and that's the main thing that women want from that so-called archetype.
I take it a step deeper than that too. To add on to that is that street soldiers, when you're in the streets committing crimes, you've integrated your shadow. So women really aren't allowed to do that. If you're a hoe, you're a hooker. A violent woman is really looked down upon. Like the bitch is just flat out crazy.
But every dude and you have one right here. You have one right here because he's a G with a PhD. Every thug is not a criminal.
No, but my point though is saying that women, a lot of times they're attracted to men that have that presentation because they're not able to integrate that part of themselves. And when they can see that in a man, they respect that and they honor that and they want to be around that. Even though they might not be necessarily violent, but
they can't always display it, but they're attracted to it because that's who they really are inside. That's
I actually have a question.
That's what I mean. That's why it's fully integrated. It's not like you can't fake it. You got to be that dude.
Old Gigi can tell you there's some chicks that love thugs that are fully integrated because they thugettes. Okay.
Hysterical.
They thugettes. Okay.
So I don't. I mean, truth. I'm just saying I don't buy into that theory. I mean, what I would say, and see, the way I vocabularize it, all street dudes are not the criminals, but I mean, if you define what a thug is as far as what the definition is, so for me, I guess you all are intertwining. I would call dudes street dudes as a general term if you're in that, and then thugs is like criminals, and it kind of like how it was in Boys in the Hood. They may have all been in the street, but they weren't all thugs necessarily. But that's just me.
We're talking about the archetype of the thug.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, the archetype. So I understand that.
In other words, the archetype of the thug. Go ahead, Gigi.
No, make no mistake about it, man. Look, I'm not a perfect human being, man. I've done some things that I'm proud of in my life. Okay, one of those things was selling drugs. Okay, I did that. I shouldn't have done it, but I did do it, and I had to pay the price for having done it. Now, the thing is, to me, you know how many people across this culture in this society from different class brackets are doing the exact same thing? I mean, like it's in Wall Street, it's at universities and colleges, it's everywhere. I have colleagues that have just openly admitted to me, I did the same thing that you did, but I have a different kind of skin, I have a different kind of class background, so it doesn't harm us as much. I hate that you had to go through what you went through, but it's just a feature and function of our society. And I mean, at the end of the day, I know people who are considered to be thugs based upon their background. And I'm going to tell you, like when men go through some stages of development in their lives, sometimes they get steered towards doing things that are risky and bold. But wait a minute, let me finish this. But I know the biggest thugs on my block right now are the biggest family men that I've ever seen in my life, and I mean that. One of them is a sheriff. I'm not, he's a sheriff. One of them has 5 sons and 2 girls. I mean, beautiful home. I mean, you would not have been able to tell that the guy would make this type of transformation, seeing him at 20, 25, to seeing his man at like 45 to 50 years of age. So, I mean, we need to stop.
But we're having a different argument. Like the argument, the origin of really where this stuff started really going back and forth, like these crusades, because literally it would be like every year where this stuff would flare up on BGS's channel. What the argument had nothing to do with what they did or even judging, because for the most part, most dudes on the other side. Now you got the hood conservatives, which a lot of what you're responding to is based on what a lot of these fake conservatives are talking about, where they're just completely like, carpet bombing, you're a blah, 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 with a lot of those conservative target points. So I get what you're saying. That's really applied to them. What a lot of the argument within the manosphere was going on was this argument of dudes like me and other dudes that maybe we were in the hood at one point or another, but we were in the suburbs, we're more hybrids. This idea that it's our job to come and clean up the mess of what. It's not even about what the dudes did, but what the females did, because those are usually the ones that are coming out here.
You know what? You really know what it was, and I'll tell you what it was, because I talked to too many of these dudes, man. Basically, what it was is a class problem. Okay, what you have is suburban black dudes that should have been going for their peers, like more upscale women, right? But the thing is, they had to compete with Masters of the Universe, right? So when you come, they think just because you come down in class, just because you more of a higher, quote unquote higher class, even though I don't believe in that shit, right? Just because you're in a higher class, you come into a working class or even a lower class and try to compete for the women, you can't compete.
Okay, so I'll give you that. Hold on. I want to finish my point. I'll give you that argument 100%. Any dude that thinks that he's gonna come in, any dude that thinks if he's in a higher class and coming into a lower class, then yes, that's on some bullshit. If he's upset about that, but that's not the argument that I'm making. The argument a lot of the guys were making, a lot of Black Blame Trust was making, was the point that at the end of the day, all it is, what I'm saying is,
Edward, I talk to them. Okay, they're my subs.
What I'm saying then,
what you're finding out, which is why I call Kevin Samuels in, because they had a bunch of dudes just like that complaining about that shit. Once Kevin
okay, BG, you're not even letting me finish. Okay, go ahead.
Did you let me finish, sir?
Go ahead.
What I'm saying is, that's why I call Kevin Samuels in, right? To polish up those dudes that were socially awkward or hadn't completed their training, right? He polished them up. Basically, now those are the 400 or 500 dudes that he has in his little stash that all these upscale chicks are competing for. Now the women that should have been in their class competing for these dudes, now they have them. That's like most of this shit that between Pookie and Ray Ray and this kind of competition has died down. Most of those dudes are gone.
Okay, so you're not so from a greater standpoint, it operates outside of your channel. You were saying that it is not that these women are women, and not even the dudes, but these women are expecting dudes that are more upper. It's not even about even the dudes that he's talking about. See, the dudes, Gigi, that you're talking about, they're invested in that right now because the kids and stuff like that. But dudes that, let's say, 51% of Black men don't have kids, and of those 51% don't have kids, this idea that these dudes need to go ahead and pick up, be a stepfather and go ahead and hold their nose and do it. This is where the SYSBM thing comes into play. That's really what a lot of it was too. And that's outside of blaming what these dudes did or did not do. It's about saying, look, I'm not about to clean up what they do. And then what happens is you got dudes like George Macon that'll be on some pro-black shit and say, well, you niggas are cooning because you not gonna come in. And then what about the kids? And some dudes are like, fuck them kids. Those are not my kids. Y'all need to figure that shit out on your own.
You know what I used to say to dudes like that, because they would come onto my channel all the time, right, and rail against single mothers, and I'm like a wife of a single mother. First thing I said, stop fucking them then. Guess what they would say.
And you know what? And I don't even fuck single mothers like that. But what I'm saying, but I hear, and that's true.
A lot of dudes did.
That's true. And as far as I'm concerned, with them dudes, they got a right to even say I'll fuck them and not deal with them anyway. But my point is,
but you don't have a right to complain about them if you're fucking them.
Well, it's not about complaining about single mothers, because let's be clear here, dude. Hold on. A lot of these dudes. Here's the reality: when everybody talks about the community, it's always talking about who the fuck needs the help. That's where it's always talked about, and it's always, and a lot of time. Well, what are you gonna do about these boys? I had to deal. I mean, shit. Sheila was saying the same shit. I had to deal. Well, what about these boys? What about this? What about them? Like at some point, women are gonna have to understand. It's not even about who they choose. It's about understanding. You just did a video about this. Somebody's gonna have to do it.
If you want to help the goddamn boys, it's systemic. It has nothing to do with actually wifing up and being a stepdaddy to a single mother's child. Okay, it has to do with reforming the goddamn system. Okay, that's what the video was about. It was not about who you pick, who you fuck, who you deal with.
Well, the system.
Let me finish my rant, motherfucker. Thank you. All right. It has the system. The system has been fucked up for 200 years. Now, it was actually expressed not just toward the men, it's expressed toward the women, and for the guys keep coming and say that shit. Okay. The thing is, you talking about how we should marry these chicks. Be a stepdaddy, or be whatever it is that the Tia San Johnson has a whole litany of stuff that we're supposed to be, right? The thing is, you keep raising broken children. Okay, you keep raising broken children. You don't have that's not systemic. If you want good men, that the kind of men that you want, you can't start at 21. You got to start at 3. Okay, and that's what I was saying. I said, in other words. You keep on printing articles about who's not getting married, who's not qualified to get married, the kind of guys that are out there, right? The thing is, everybody, regardless of what Gigi's done in the past, every street kid should be a Dr. Gigi. Okay, they should have the opportunity to be a Dr. Gigi. Dr. Gigi should not be an anomaly, right? Because he's the one dude that made it out. Okay, that's what he ain't gonna say. He's the one dude that did make it out. How about the 99 that he left behind, right? There shouldn't be a 1% like Gigi. There should be like in the Jewish community, 80% of them dudes that come out. If you're a failure, if you're a street dude and you're a failure in the Jewish community, you're an outcast because there's no reason for you to fail because the system is actually there for you to succeed. We don't have a system. We don't have a system in America in the black community for boys to succeed. You have the opposite.
Yo, BGS,
how come after 200 years you still have the fucking opposite?
And
the women sign on to this shit. That's the problem.
And the last thing I'm gonna say, because I know as other people on the panel is, what a lot of folks, when people throw that shit out as far as when niggas are just mad, that's really a smoke screen, because a lot of I'll say this and I'm done. We assume that the women. If the women were, I don't care who they choose, but they're the ones. The manosphere exists because these females have been bitching about their outcomes, and their outcomes, they've been blaming black men for their outcomes. So the very dudes that they say are not doing what the fuck they're supposed to are the very dudes saying no. At the end of the day, regardless of how somebody feels about them, you picked them. And this is what Kevin says, this is what everybody says. You picked them. So if your vaginal positioning system is perfect and the argument is, well, these are better men, then shit, be cool with what you picked. And this is what we start to understand. Hold on, going back to Kevin, that these women are not picked. It's not even, I'm not trying to low-key sidewise swipe these dudes. What I'm saying is these women have a criteria who they want to pick. And a lot of it is based on control. And this is what, and so at the end of the day, I agree with you. If dudes are sitting there playing class warfare and coming in there and then getting mad because they think they got some class privilege, you've never heard me agree with that. You've never heard. I know this ain't about me, but I just said you've never heard me co-sign that shit.
That's the issue. But that's the basic issue about what you see going on still today in the management is about it's basically class warfare, and I'm not down with that shit because it's not going to help anything. The thing is, the system needs to be reformed. I don't care who fucks who. It don't matter whether you get married or not. The thing is, you don't have to be married to actually fucking go in there and basically change this fucking school board, or change the curriculum.
Yeah. My thing is just on what the fuck you do.
Vote somebody in. Whether that's part of it. Me and Gigi will be the first one that hold what black women responsible for what they've done.
Yo,
it's not about
BGS,
that.
can I jump in here right quick and make a
Go
statement
ahead.
about what you said
about
that video?
No,
Go ahead, Gigi. We're gonna difference
Gigi
to the
can go
doctor.
in. Gigi can go in. I respect, boy.
Go ahead, Gigi.
Well, I'm just gonna say this and then I'm gonna get off because I'm in my car.
I actually had a question for you, though.
But I'm just like,
okay, he'll make a statement. He'll take your question because you got to go. Go ahead, make your statement. Then Gigi will take a question.
Okay. So you want me to make the question first?
No. Let Gigi make a statement. Then you can ask Gigi the question before he goes. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, Gigi.
Okay, so ultimately, I think BGS is correct in this. This is a systemic problem, and we can talk about the causes of the problem, the etiology of the problem, but the reality is we got a lot of boys that are growing up in broken homes, and they don't have any black male mentorship. That's not going to be successful for black people in the long run.
Well,
everybody's going to have
hold on, Gilbert.
Wait a minute. I just want to say everybody's going to have to deal with the negative externalities of black boys not getting black male mentorship. They're not being developed and not being enculturated to be productive and successful. They're left on their own to try to figure things out on their own. And so by having them be in that predicament, in that kind of condition, how can you expect somebody trying to figure out something on their own to be able to make good decisions? It's just impossible to do.
No, basically, if you put them in just like you can teach them to read, you put them in a system that's built for them to get that kind of outcome. It won't be perfect, but it'll be a hell of a lot better than it did. Like the Chicago boys' school, like the boys' school in Baltimore, like the boys' schools in Dallas. They take all boys, no matter what condition, they can straighten them out and make them better. That's all I'm saying. You ask your question. Is it Mr. Z?
Okay.
Want to ask a question?
So I wanted to ask Dr. Green a question, which is, do we think that a lot of this has to do with like childhood trauma, early rejection? Because from my understanding, the brain processes rejection like physical pain. And when I hear young black, when I say young, I mean like under 40, 35-ish. When I hear young black people talk about the opposite sex, it sounds very white supremacist racist, and I really think this has to do with being 16, the girl you want don't want you, or being 21, the guy you want don't want you, and we just adopt a lot of this language and hold it for 2 decades, maybe 3.
Get the entire fuck out of here. Get the entire
man, because most of these.
Whoa! Did he ask you guys?
Yeah, my bad. It was his question, and we'll get to you after that.
Yeah. Gigi, go ahead if you want to answer it. Did you hear it?
I think some of it. Can you hear me? Yeah, I'm here.
Yes,
can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I think a lot of that. I mean, I can't say how much of the percentage of black men in the manosphere who are saying that. How much of the much proportionality that is related to what you just presented, but I think it's a good chunk of it. I think a lot of guys are having trouble with women, and they're getting angry because the women are selecting who they deem to be thugs. Now, first of all, I'm going to come out on a limb and say I don't know facts of the matter about this. I don't know the statistics on this. I know what people are saying qualitatively, but I don't know what people are actually doing. So I don't know. But this is one thing I will say. When I was young, I was terrified by women. I was scared to approach women. I was scared to talk to women. And I was scared of rejection. But then when I went to college, I met a group of guys, and they did not care. They didn't care how often they were rejected. They did not care. And they got that mentality in me like, okay, look, if you want women, it's a numbers game. Bottom line, some of them going to reject you. Look at it as fun. And then the ones that reject you, when they see the ones that accept you, go back and tell them what you did and how you got down, they going to holler at you even more. So then you're going to be able to pick the ones up that reject you back up. So at the end of the day, I would encourage you right now, if you have a problem with women, I hate to say this, I don't want to be derogatory about women, holler at 100 hoes. 100.
Can I jump in here right quick?
No, just let him finish. He's got to go, so let him finish.
I'm going.
All right, Gigi.
Hey, be peaceful, brethren.
I pasted Gigi's
respect.
Yeah, I love to have a part 2 of this.
But Edward, before you go, before you say something, Edward, let me just say this to Edward. Edward, you gotta understand, Mr. Z is a square. I am L7 to the next level. So it's not like I've always been able to pull women or whatever. When I say this, this is
you get your share,
these.
Mr. Z. Stop lying.
I'm good now at 34 years old, but
Uh-huh.
I am a square, like corny jokes and all, right?
Yeah.
But what I've been around other squares, and that's one of their main things. It's how is he able to get her? And you really see it as we get older and we get more quote unquote accomplished. It's like, how the hell is this dude that don't even make a half of what I make? How is he able to pull that? Right? And it's a thing that we gotta acknowledge that.
I'm a hybrid. I'm gonna I know Archer been waiting.
Yo. What he said. Okay, I want to address this topic right quick and put this shit to rest.
Okay.
Black men are not having a problem being rejected. Most of this shit comes from the narrative black women have put on us. If you want to know any type of trauma that black men are going through, it's the trauma that we're experiencing from all the shit we're hearing our women talk about us from a young fucking age. It has nothing to do with rejection.
True.
It has absolutely nothing to do with rejection.
Yeah.
You are faced with trauma before you even become sexually active or sexually aware. You hear your mama, your grandma, your aunties, your sisters, the TV. Everybody talk shit about black men. I remember when I was fucking 13 and I was on a white supremacist talking board. Don't ask me why I was there. I was just there. I was talking shit, right? And some white guy said a fat white woman is a prize to a black man. And I was young. I didn't know how to respond to this shit. So I went to my mom, like, Mom, he said this, how do I respond to this? She actually laughed at the shit and agreed with him. Like, it's that type of shit that black men experience from a young age. It's not because we can't get pussy, because we're dealing with the concubine class of women. If you want pussy, if this is all about pussy, Black America is where the fuck you need to be. You don't need to be nowhere else to get pussy.
Exactly.
This is where you need to be. It's open, it's free, it's easy. This is where you need to be. You in the right spot.
Yeah, that's true.
And Archer, I'm gonna tell you who that shit's aimed at. A lot of that shit is aimed at younger black men that ain't really haven't fucked yet. A lot of dudes that are young, or not dudes, but young males. Because here's the thing: a lot of males will believe that shit if they ain't never got pussy. But because certain dudes will try to act like pussy is literally gonna change how your brain is wired. Like you will go from being a diehard conservative to a diehard liberal just off a bitch. And that's something that when I was younger I could have maybe bought into. But at the same time, once I started fucking these bitches, I'm like, oh, I'm still me. This, whatever, man. And
Archer,
so
I agree with you.
That's where it comes from too. Black men, it's not even about pussy. We get shamed for so many things from being young men. I remember when I was younger too, and I got a lot of stories where I felt like shit. That's why I became not shit. But
you still ain't shit.
Archer talking about an Archer origin story.
I agree with Archer.
I remember when I was younger, you used to hear songs like "I Don't Want No Scrub," and you be sitting there like, damn, you like 15, thinking in your head like, damn, I gotta step my game up to get a girl. I gotta get a car. I can't have this. Black men are put under so much pressure to perform by black women. And you see this even in shows like Kevin Samuel shows, or where BGS pointed that video out where black women expect more from their men than other groups of women expect from their men. We have so much pressure to perform. And on top of having so much pressure to perform, we get no assistance from anybody, and we get shamed the hardest for even being at the same level. Yeah. We get shamed the hardest for being at the same level as every other group of men, and not being above their level.
Hey, Archer, then when you succeed, you still get shamed, so it doesn't matter.
You get shamed because you're not pulling people up. And here's another thing too. Like number one, Mr. Z, the one thing that you don't anticipate, and it depends on the area you're in. Especially this is true for the millennials, and this is true for millennials too. Is sexual access to non-races of women. We assume that there's this bubble where you only fucking black people and that's it. That's not true for millennials. That damn sure ain't true for them, and that's not even true for me. That wasn't true for me. I had access to a variety of different women. And me, I didn't have a problem getting any racial woman, and I'm 5'5". But the point, but the point is,
Edward, I live in Miami.
That's how I know a lot of that is BS. But I will say, we have this idea: if you are only around black women, that your standards are, you're subject to the standards of only black women. So this is why when I definitely disagree with Gigi on that argument that, oh, if you can't get black women, you can't get no woman. That's complete bullshit, because anybody will tell you that black women's standards for you is going to be different. Now it is definitely possible that you can be socially awkward, and that applies to every woman. But what he doesn't anticipate is this cultural compatibility aspect. Black women are very fluid when it comes to caste, because even the higher caste can still operate with certain cultural norms, right? Where they go to certain cultural archetypes, they gravitate to that. It doesn't matter why it is what it is. The point, though, is as black men, you can deal with other types of women, whether it's race or whatever, and then you can get completely different results. And see, this is what a lot of people don't understand and anticipate. So they start looking at black men through the eyes of other black women, talking about, well, it must be something wrong with you because you just mad because what these women are doing. Here's the thing that I push back on that. Two things. Number one, some of the hardest hitting dudes have already they say shit about black women that I would not say. They have already got their receipts of being able to get black women, and they actually have black female audiences. That's number one. Number two, you can look at the outcomes of what these women are complaining about decisions they made. This is not me saying that the Gigi wasn't wrong about these dudes and the mistakes they made. It doesn't matter. The point is they are bitching about the motherfuckers they chose. And then you further see when they call Kevin, what is it? They want to level up from the motherfuckers they chose. And these be chicks.
He wasn't talking about what the women are saying, talking about what the guys are saying.
Yes,
but the guys are but that's what the guys are commenting on.
It's not just what the guys are saying. It's not just that.
And here's the thing, even he said it too, where he said, well, what are you gonna do about these boys? Well, the reality, that's a conversation for the chicks. That's a conversation between the niggas that had the motherfuckers in the community that had the kids.
Edward, it's been that way. Even with two-parent households, it's been that way. It hasn't changed. Even with two-parent households.
I'm not. This is no. This is not even a single motherhood argument. This is a cohabitating argument. My point is, it's always projected that it is guys that are supposed to come in and my thing is, if you're gonna say that they're better men,
Edward, we
have to be better men.
We have to get past that shit. Okay, it's systemic. Okay, this is systemic. Okay.
So my argument isn't. I'm talking about trauma. I'm not specifically only talking about the way black men internalize rejection or black boys internalize rejection, right? I'm talking about black men and black women sounding like neo-Nazis about each other because of childhood trauma or youth trauma because you got rejected or you got overlooked and you thought you deserved that bitch. That's what.
Okay, so give me the
one time.
You're talking about the way
one at a time. God damn it.
So I'm not. So we see that in the sisters. I'm asking if we also see it in ourselves. And where I push back on Edward, because I agree with Edward on everything else. What I'm saying is way more dudes, that's what the real issue is, than you want to accept. Way more dudes, it's really
well,
bad.
my answer to that is date out. My answer is do what Clutch did and date out. Because here's the thing. That's the first question that I'm going to, because my first rule when it comes to anything game is fuck with who fucks with you. That's what I'm gonna say. Black women have every right to not fuck with you for whatever reason they don't want to. And nigga, you have no right to really be mad about it. This is an open market. You're in America. You're not in like a one race. Well, no country's one race, but you get what I'm saying. So my question, I'm gonna ask, do you have access to other motherfuckers? And what have you done? If the answer is nothing, I'm gonna be like, well, that's your problem. And if the answer is you can't get them, then obviously the market is not about what black women have told you. The market has told you what your value is.
Basically what this is what I'm getting, not only from people at the bottom, also people at the top, like Dr. Johnson, Dr. Gigi. Basically, this is a systemic problem. We got to overturn a systemic problem. That's how come the what's his name? Ice Cube was talking about that black males need to form political party, form a political a plebiscite, so we can get the outcomes for the black males, period. And it ain't just the little bitty black boys. It ain't who you fuck. It's the whole, like I said in the video, I said you have 3 feet on your neck, right? You got the white man, the white woman, and the black woman, okay? Black men are going to have to figure out how to systemically do things for black males, period, from black boys up, no matter what what mother that they come from, whether she's a single mother, she's a drug user, whatever. Can we build a system that can improve the lives of these boys no matter what?
I don't think we can, because we have no
can.
control at any level of like so
you can do it. The thing is, that's bullshit. You can do it. They've done it before.
Say it again. You want to know? Okay, you know what I know. You want to know what I think? I think a lot of guys like me would think. They would think you do that shit, and then these dudes will at the end of the day turn into, let's support the women on some black girls rock shit.
It doesn't. Yeah. It does.
The next generation of maggles.
If we get kick-ass boys, whether they're maggles or not, I can give whether they're maggles or they ain't maggles. It don't matter. Can we systemically get these boys to where they're, like I said, well, hell, instead of having only 10% literacy rate, get them to 90%.
Shit, 20.
So they can get into
look.
20.
I'd be open to those ideas of how people think that you can deal with that system.
There is President Obama actually did it, but black women killed it.
Exactly. So how do you deal with that problem?
The thing is what are the three things that we need? I said in Dr. Johnson. First thing you need, I said the biggest factor, and basically what's his name? Monahan said it, right? Is put them in male-dominated spaces. That means single-sex education taught by men, if you can. If you do, if a high school can take the worst in the worst parts of the city, can take the worst boys from ninth grade, from age 14 to 18, and turn their asses around. What can you do if you start at kindergarten, regardless of the mother? Regardless of the fucking mother. First thing we have to do is deal with the education of boys, because that is what's lacking for the vast majority of black boys. It's just a simple education. You can fix that. You can fix 70% of the goddamn problem.
So 70%. but understand. But here's the thing too. That's completely. You've said that before, and I completely agree with that. But the problem is you're gonna have to usurp your women to do that
because they have custody.
And the problem, no, as a collective, but I'm talking about not even custody, no, because now we're diving back into the mother thing. I'm talking about from a political standpoint. And the reality is most black men are going to say, I'm not fighting other women in order to do what we all should know is right. At some point, the collective is just going to have to come to the conclusion that's what needs to be done.
You know what I would say to that?
Otherwise, the hell with it.
If it doesn't happen, if it doesn't happen, then what we're doing here as far as trying to save a goddamn black community is over.
I mean, there's a way.
Well, I mean, and honestly, a lot of black men
to get done. You don't need a majority of people to get shit done.
No,
if you can get what do you call that? A critical mass. Maybe you need
10-15%,
40%. And if you can get that number of people on board, and it doesn't have to be all black men, it could be, white folks, Asian folks, men, women. It could just be a certain group, and people start putting money up. And then what you could do, you just get like a multi-pronged approach where you have a propaganda campaign, a public relations campaign. You really start, you get people, talking heads out in the news cycle, sharing these type of ideas. And all of a sudden,
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying.
No, you don't.
But
you don't hear. You don't hear.
Dude, this. I'm thinking about it from a sales perspective. Like honestly, most black men, no matter how much you plan that shit out, honestly, you're getting to the point where a lot of most black men that can actually do what's necessary to do it and put it together is like, if I got to do all of that, then hell with it. Communities die. That's where a lot of black men are. That's actually where a lot of black. So I'm looking at this from a sales perspective.
Edward, have you ever read The Tipping Point?
Yo,
I'm looking at this from a sales perspective.
Did you ever read even from a sales perspective?
No, I haven't.
It only takes 12%.
Have you ever read Propaganda?
No, like you said, have I read the book Propaganda or understand propaganda?
No, in other words, the tipping point is 12%. If you get 12% of your core group of 12%, you can actually change the way people think.
It's a big enough spark. Can I
think about this too? Think about this with
truth.
You mind if I jump in real quick? I mean, when it comes to convincing people to separate the boys and the girls, I mean, there are more insidious ways to do it. Like, you can actually jump on the toxic masculinity bandwagon and say, look, boys are so toxic, they just need to be separated from the girls. There are ways to play women at their own game and get what you want out of it. There's ways to do that. You don't always, You can trick the bitches. They ain't that smart.
You know we've tried. That's been tried in the workplace. But
the best time to do it is right now, because guess what? BLM is Black Lives Matter is raging in the street. Guess who they fighting for? Black men. This is the time to actually put the shit in.
Facts.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna continue this on my channel because I know BJ you're gonna be on here all day. Yeah, so yeah, I want to continue this conversation. Obviously, BJ, you can join later if you want to, because I know that game's coming. That game's coming on too. Shit.
Because you look
depends
at
on how that game goes. I'm gonna start
in the civil rights era. You had a lot of black folks that they said, "Oh, I don't know why MLK is doing that."
Yeah,
he just started more problems. And when they did, you look at these polls out of the 1950s, most white folks weren't for civil rights, but they didn't have to have most white folks for civil rights. You just needed a small percentage.
I get what you're saying, but and I'm not trying to say, but what's funny? It's not that I'm not getting. It's not that I'm not getting it. I know that I think you all underestimate the actual resistance to what you all are talking about.
No, I agree with you.
What you're saying can work. What you're saying can work. But it's not about. Well, it's not about
bullet points, Edwards. Bullet points.
Okay, so here's the thing. This is what I don't even need the bullet points. I'm just gonna say this. Even if you get dudes on the same page, this needs to get done.
Mm-hmm.
What's gonna happen is when that resistance meets a certain level, a lot of these dudes are gonna say, "Nah, this ain't worth it." At the end of the day, y'all can have it. They're gonna go like Xanatos clutch on you, and here's the thing: you actually already have the society that's geared to absorb you like that.
It's not the black women you need to convince anyway. It's the dominant society that needs to think that it's in their best interest. Black women ain't in power.
Well, shit. Good luck with that on anything.
No,
that's when a lot of black women can be turned too. That's how propaganda works.
In other words, if you turned it into a money problem. And you and stop trying to make it a moral problem and a social problem. Turn it into a money problem. Okay. Basically, I just did some math. Right. We want prison reform. Right. Okay. $182 billion a year to lock people up. Right. We got like 800,000 people in prison. Right. It costs $80,000 on average per prisoner to actually lock a person up. Guess what?
God!
Guess what the average cost to send somebody to college? Well, guess what the average
like
cost?
40 grand.
Oh shit!
32,000.
Yeah, 32. There you go.
Over twice as much to put them in jail, put somebody in jail than to send them to fucking college.
Hey, BGS. I didn't mean to cut off. I didn't mean to cut off what you were saying. But have you been watching I know you don't watch the news. That's a stupid question. Ruth Bader Ginsburg just passed away.
Saw it. Yep.
She did.
Okay. She couldn't hold out.
So Trump got another Supreme Court justice. There you go.
So now this election, man, and God rest in peace. But
so there goes abortion. Okay.
Well,
this election is a different game at this point because shit,
it don't matter.
They're not gonna let them pick until after the election.
If whatever president comes in, if they can't solve fucking the COVID problem, it don't matter. All that other shit don't matter.
Yo,
if you can't solve this economic and COVID problem, all that shit, rest of that shit don't matter. Go ahead.
Yo, BJS, let me jump in here right quick. I want to make one quick comment that
I'm hopping off though.
Say to you about this that video you made about black women. The reason, and I think Cerulean said this, how America is a narcissistic planet. It creates narcissistic people who only think about themselves. The reason these women will never educate their boys, or they would never focus on their young boys, because doing anything for their young boys doesn't directly benefit them. Yes, it benefits the next generation of black women, but black women are too too conceited to actually care about anybody else outside of themselves. And it's been that way for decades. So this is the reason they never do for their boys in the hopes to improve the overall community. They only want something done for them.
Yeah.
And when you have a group of selfish people raising a group of boys, and you're going to continue to get the cycle where nobody raises a good functional male for another woman to get, because every woman's only thinking about herself.
Okay. So how do you get around that reality?
You can't, BGS. It's over.
Yes, you can. We do it all the time.
According to these guys, there's nothing you could do.
Oh yeah,
black men are powerless.
I think shame. I think a perfect example. So my brother's keeper, you brought it up a few times, BGS, right? And how many people knew that black women pushed back against that? Nobody really knew.
What is the greatest socializing force on the planet today?
Social media.
Prussian school system, sir.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
What kind of system do you have in the United States? You have what? A Prussian school system, right? Yeah. If you really want to socialize boys, you put it in the Prussian school system as a curriculum. Guess what? They'll come out on the other end. Where do the kids when outside of COVID spend the majority of their time? Who with?
Mom, parents,
teachers, and schoolmates.
The school system.
Oh, you say outside of the home or outside of the school?
I mean, regardless.
Okay.
Where do they spend the majority? They spend with 7-8 hours a day.
Yeah, school.
With the school system, right? They sleep 8 hours, and mom ignores them at least 3 or 4, right?
Yo, BGS, let me ask you a question, bro. So you're saying like we need to change the school system. Now we all know like 87% of school teachers are white females. Do you think black males should make a run on the jobs of becoming teachers?
They should.
Because even if we can't get the boys to go to separate gender schools, if most black men are, if we get that percentage, at least 40% of teachers are black men, they can have a great impact without separating the boys and the girls.
What's the biggest reason for black men not really being teachers?
I do not know.
It's female dominated atmosphere they got to deal with.
They got a lot of college scholarships for black male teachers. You can go to school. It's probably not that hard. You go to what they call the Portland Teachers Program out here in the Northwest. Go to their website. Go apply as a black man and see if they don't give you a full ride to go get your master's degree. Odds are all you'll get.
And there's no network to even tell little black boys coming out of school that there's something out there for them.
Yeah, most guys don't know.
And most guys don't know, which is why you need it. Most black women, most female-dominated arenas will not tell that black boy that there's something out there for him because they would want to send them into a trade school or something like that, right? The thing is, that's how come you need to take over the system. The biggest influence on this whole society is the Prussian school system, right? That's how come you integrated the schools, okay? That's how come little boys date little white women and little Latinos, right? Because they sit next to them. It's the biggest influence of your life is the school system on purpose.
You can't. There's an old saying. There's an old saying. You can't beat them, join them. Like this goes with the police force, with the military, everything that's hurting black men, even at the bottom level, at the entry level. Black men need to rush that shit like blitz in football. Like,
why you would think when my brother's keepers talk about having educational programs for black boys, women got up in arms about it because they know what it'll do.
Nothing worse to me than a parents or a mom moving to the suburbs, sending her kids to a predominantly white school, and then getting mad when Junior come home with a white girl. It's the dumbest shit in the world.
What did the feminists do in 1972? What did they go after? Did they go after the jobs? They go after the men? What did they go after? They go after marriage? What did they go after?
School boards.
The schools, school boards, the school systems, right? They put programs into the school system to feminize boys and girls, okay? And guess what? 50 years later, guess what you have?
Hey, BGS.
Yes, sir.
You remember you brought up that book, what was it? The Devil, what was it? It's got the misleading... The Lucifer Principle.
Yeah.
So I read that book twice, and in there they talk about memes. And Archer, this is one thing that you should look into. This it's pretty fascinating. So they talk about memes, and not like the funny ass pictures we send back and forth to one another. Those are memes, but the real memes are like just ideas, and they spread. So Richard Dawkins came up with this theory, right, about memes, and he goes, memes. It's like genes or the DNA of life. And he goes, and memes are the DNA of culture. And basically they've come up with a new science. It's like a quasi science called memetics. And basically the way memes work and ideas work is they spread like wildfire. So once, you get 10 people, they spread it to 1,000 people and so forth and so on.
Yeah.
And the way these ideas work on people's minds is they can change the way you think. So when you say the way, black women can't do this, black women can't change, black women can't do this, I want to give you some pushback and say that's simply not true. If you give them enough propaganda, the right socialization, you put them in the right schools and they're learning different things, then their behaviors can change. It could take time, but that's something that black men can do. And with social media, the way we're congregated here, we most certainly have the power to do that.
Wait, hold up. Me personally, I've never said black women can't change.
He was talking about Edward.
I have a.
Well, I thought I heard you saying that earlier. You were like,
no,
they can't do this, they can't do that.
Well, I just said they were stupid. But as far as me, I believe there's a way they can change, and I believe in more taking the Middle Easternish approach. But most black men are not for that. I'm more Turner.
So that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. But I can drink.
You don't let people have this freedom and be like, oh yeah, we're gonna take all of that back. Yeah, that it doesn't. You don't go backwards on this. Yeah, no. The rest of the world is slowly changing and adopting a lot of certain Western ideals because their kids are going back to these countries, visiting and low key indoctrinating the people that are there with some of this stuff. The Middle East is not going to look like how it looked maybe 50, 60, 70 years ago. It's not going to look like that in like 50 years, 60 years.
I mean, you don't turn to the child, you spoil the child. So that's just my opinion, but whatever.
Yeah, man,
you got about 5 more minutes, folks.
Yeah, but like I was trying to tell Edward, I agree with him. I'm with brothers on just about everything, but I didn't grow up in a high class, right, working class parents. Lucky for me, they're still married. But yeah, I didn't grow up in a high class, and I was never that great with the ladies. But I can tell you that a lot of the resentment I see from brothers and sisters is why can't I have that person? And what you see oftentimes, and we have to be clear, and actually talking about Jason Black, he brought this up one time. It's not that people can't pull. Women could pull, men could pull. It's what you pulling. The problem is not niggas that can't get pussy. Nah, you just don't want what is accessible and easy. You want that. And
black men maybe the younger groups of black men are going through what the white guys are going through, which is what they call a behavioral sink, where they just got how to connect with one another. It may not be one side or the other. We assume that it's thugs, but it's thugs. The thugs are the ones that get hit by cars and then run over by cars and get hit by bumpers or get shot at, stuff like that. Yeah. That's what they run into. So
thugs don't win with women like that. That's so overrated. Thugs do not win with women like that because you're dealing with women that are pretty much unruly. So you may get some more tail on the front end, a little bit more tail on the front end, sure. But on the back end, man, that family court, man, that's a motherfucker, man. You ain't gonna want to keep going to that, right? You ever had a couple abortions or a couple STDs? That's no fun. So it's not like there's this demographic of black men that are just winning with black women. I don't think there's any demographic of black men that win with black women like that. It's just not something that I see from the upper echelon to all the way down to the lower levels. It's just that's not how it works.
You know what I think it is? I think it really is because you're right. It's not that the quote unquote thugs are winning. It's the fact that he's even a consideration in the first place. Why is he even on my level? Why do you even look at him? Why do you even acknowledge his presence? It's almost like how white men look at black men. Like let's say the average brother could pull this white girl, right? And the white dude's like, yo, these dudes were like slaves. Like he don't have a college degree. Like why are you even entertaining the thought? And I think that's what happened with certain brothers is they look at quote unquote the guys that they think are less than them, and it's like, why is he even a factor in your mind? So you're right where it's none of us are necessarily winning, but the fact that the so-called thug is even in competition with you in her mind, or at least so the upper echelon dude thinks, is the problem, I think, for a lot of these quote unquote better dudes or better prospects or whatever they want to call themselves.
All right.
That's true.
All right. You got about 2 minutes.
Yeah, BGS, man. Thank you very much once again for letting me talk on the live, and
Yeah.
I'll catch you guys on the other side.
Yeah, it's something. I thought I was being clear. I thought it wasn't necessarily about women. I thought it was actually talking
No,
about
but
about the system and systemic and how we need to change
that's
things
what
to
I
actually
got
get
from
a
it.
better outcome. That's what I thought I was saying. It wasn't necessarily aimed at women. In fact, the article was it's just aimed at both men and women. They actually come with those talking points. I
But
thought I made myself clear. Maybe I didn't. I
the
think people
numbers in
feel
the
my
beginning for
passion.
me was good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, BJ, but the statistics, the numbers in the beginning,
Yeah.
that's what I really held on to. Your commentary towards the end it just brought it all home. So that's what I got from it, was more of a systemic issue. But the statistics in the beginning only showed what happens when this group, that really, we didn't really separate the genders for them until the end of slavery, maybe, right? And what you start to give, or you start to give little opportunities to one segment of the group and not so much to the other segment. And what you see now is what happens when one group thinks they occupy a different class than their peers.
My thing, okay, say with black women do occupy that class and leadership class, which they do. The thing is, admit your shortcomings, and if either say you're going to fix it or say that you're not going to fix it, and then black men can actually decide for themselves. But you can't be in charge and cry victim at the same time. So that's what I was actually saying. I was actually tired of the article. The article was actually sent to me. I actually sat on it for a while. I said, because I keep hearing this stuff. I keep hearing this stuff how black men are basically how black men are failing black women because black women want to get married. And the thing is that because as little boys they were failed, and they didn't get what. That's how I kind of brought in that piece that Dr. Johnson said. On average, only 10% 10% of black boys at 8th grade can read at reading level. I said that's a social crime that nobody even considers. How are you going to get
that social death?
How you gonna get black boys to actually turn into black men that are really worth what you say they should be worth, and you actually ruin them before they can actually get out of the gate? Doesn't make any sense. That's what I was saying.
Yo, BGS.
Hey, BGS, I wanted to get out of here, but before I did, I just wanted to say that as black men, it's important that we focus on what we can do. And it may seem like these are just like some little bullshit conversations, and we're just kind of shooting the shit, and then this is entertainment. But in actuality, this is a weapon. This is a sword that we could swing. Yeah. And so when BGS talks about donating to your scholars and supporting supporting what we have here, and when Grinch talks about protecting the space, man, what we can do is really grow this thing into an animal that really fights on our behalf. So
you basically your scholars, the people on the other side of the wall of my lovingly call my eggheads. Those are the people that have the ability to start changing policy. Policy comes out of academics. Okay, so that's how come I said you have to protect, even though whether you like them or not. Okay. And it doesn't matter whether you like them or not. If you want things to change, when you get people in this space that are on the other side of the fence, they can't help you change policy. You got to hold on to them like they're gold.
Hey, BGS, thanks for having me on, big brother.
Yeah.
I'm out.
All right. Anyway.
All right,
yo,
BGS,
I got something I got to say to you before
real
I go,
quick,
man. This is going to be quick, but you better watch out. Them heat are coming. I know you think your Lakers got this, but the heat are coming. You better watch out. The goons down in South Beach. You better watch out, boy.
You got to get there first, man.
We gonna get there.
You got to get there first.
We gonna get there.
You got to get there first. All
right, bro.
All right, y'all. Thanks for coming out. Hit the like button before you get out of here, and I'll see you next time. I'm gonna hit the button. All right, y'all. Peace.